Secret Sound Winners is a very, very small club.
It's elite
and
club.
People invest into it every morning, and then when you are a Secret Sound Hall of Famer,
you're up there with the
lasts
stars.
forever. The money's gone, right? But that lasts forever.
Yeah, but it was just so nice. I really just took the time with that call because I just wanted to savor it because it was nice. Because September time and all of that. I said it before. It's a costly time going back to school. And that needs 3 young ones as well. And lovely Sinead. I was away doing yoga. Good on you, Sinead. Proud
but you
of
see,
you.
the thing is, you can take the hand at people, right? And then as you said, when you says, right, are the kids downstairs, bring them up? I says, no, this is not going to be these ones. This is not going to be one of these.
I didn't care. No, but I wasn't. It was just about.
But the mood you're in, as nice a person as you are, you would be capable of doing that.
No, but I wouldn't do it. I couldn't do it. No, but I was just picturing the lovely family there downstairs, listening to radio. Dad had to move upstairs because of the bad coverage. Glad the line didn't drop, and a couple of them creep upstairs and listen, and the other one listens down in the kitchen and stuff. It was just nice.
Brilliant.
And it's lovely.
Normal people too. The 14-year-olds too old to go up the stairs.
We all do normal
lovely
stuff.
And it's a nice little chunk of money.
Beautiful.
Whether it's to cover some extra bills or, as you say, even maybe head away
just
for
a big wee treat or something.
Yeah.
Lovely.
Absolutely
Nice to have you back.
fantastic.
You had a nice time.
Well, I was only away one day,
No, but I know, but it kind of seems a bit longer.
Yeah, no,
doesn't it?
No,
what's up next in your calendar then?
Thankfully, nothing. I just want to be at home with Aisling, with the boys, just chilling.
Old simple life.
Oh, I'll tell you.
See, ones might check in and think, there he is. Your beard looks a different colour, does it?
Oh, that's the sun.
Does it?
Yeah.
Does it go light in the sun?
It does. Commericals. I wanted to say one thing though. When's the next thing? The awards in October.
This is what I was flagging.
Yeah.
October. At least you have a bit of a. What date in October?
4th.
Is there much room in the bus going down to that?
Don't know.
I would love to go down.
And then the Highland Radio Customer Services are on the 6th.
That's right.
And then that'll be a busy weekend, and then hopefully chill. It's all bingo.
It's not going to chill. That is ramping up for Christmas. Then all them surprises that we do before Christmas and stuff.
Yes, and you know what? I don't mind talking about Christmas. I'm in the mood.
Yeah, good on you. Well,
all right,
Lee,
listen, well done to you. And great bit of radio this morning. Fantastic stuff. And the surname of the family again, sorry.
Greer.
The Greers. Well done to the Greers too. Obviously a lovely, lovely family unit, and it couldn't have gone to nicer people. All right, it's 9:01. Let's get a news update, and it is over to Michaela Clark.
Thanks, Greg. Good morning. Taoiseach Simon Harris has blasted social media companies over their handling of threatening posts online. It comes after bomb and kidnapping threats were made against his family over the past week. Simon Harris says no social media company is great at managing dangerous content, and those targeted have to do their own detective work. He says the recent incidents had made him question whether political life was worth the impact on his family.
I kind of balk when I hear this idea of, sure, just no keyboard warrior, just somebody at home. I don't really care. I don't really care who it is. No. I don't really care what their motivation is. It is criminal to threaten violence on people. It is criminal to threaten to attack people's children. It's criminal to threaten sexual violence on people. And it also incites hatred.
Sinn Féin's finance spokesperson has not ruled himself out as the party's presidential candidate. Donegal Deputy Pearse Doherty's name has been mentioned as a possible nominee, along with the North's First Minister Michelle O'Neill. Party leader Mary Lou McDonald said yesterday that she will not be the party's candidate. Deputy Doherty says the party has yet to decide if they will run a candidate.
It's an honour to have your name linked with running for the presidency, and I'm very humbled that it is being mentioned. To me, it's very clear the first step in this here is looking at the strategy that Sinn Féin needs to embark on, and that's the question now that we're answering or partly answering today and over the next number of days, which is, first of all, should we stand our own candidate or should we support another?
Meanwhile, Conor McGregor has officially written to Donegal County Council seeking nomination to run in the presidential election. In his letter to the Chief Executive of the Council on September the 5th, he says he believes now is the time for an independent People First voice to enter Áras an Uachtaráin, one that reflects the values, struggles and aspirations of ordinary Irish citizens. The mixed martial arts fighter says a nomination from the Council is not an endorsement of his campaign, but a stand for democracy, fairness and representation. European fishing leaders are gathering in Killybegs this week with a challenge to new EU control rules high on the agenda. The AGM of the European Association of Fish Producers Organisations opens tomorrow at Ireland's largest fishing port. The meeting is hosted by the Killybegs Fishermen's Organisation and the Irish Fish Producers Organisation. Delegates from 17 producer organisations across Europe, together with senior European Commission officials, will debate urgent challenges facing the sector, with a sharp focus on the impact of controversial new EU fisheries control regulations. KFO Chief Executive Dominic Ryan says the proposed regulations will damage Killybegs.
These rules are imposing very extensive sampling regimes on fishing vessels and the processors ashore. So it certainly won't make the situation in Killybegs any better. It certainly won't attract vessels into Killybegs as a port.
Finally, for weather, mostly cloudy today with scattered outbreaks of mostly light rain and drizzle at times. Highest temperatures of 15 to 17 degrees. That's all from Highland Radio News for now. We'll be back with news again at 10 o'clock. Until then, good morning.
Sometimes getting older is a good thing. Take a fine cheese. With steady planning, careful preparation and trusted guidance, at every stage of the process, it matures. At Standard Life, we believe in a similar approach when planning for retirement. Because when you do, things get better with age. Search Retirement Hub or talk to your financial advisor today. Standard Life International DAC is regulated by the Central Bank of Ireland.
And now, it's time for the talk of the Northwest, the 9 to noon show with Greg Hughes on Highland Radio.
Hello and a very good morning to you. 5 minutes past 9 on this Tuesday, the 9th of September. How are you all keeping? I do hope you're very well indeed, and it's great to be back. A big thank you to Michaela Clark, who sat in yesterday on the show as we made our way back from London, and we had a lovely show on Sunday. I enjoyed it anyway, and I hope it came across on the radio. We were on air between 12 and 2, and we chatted to some amazing people over what is an amazing event. It's the Vintage Day in London over in Tyrconnell Gales football ground. The weather was absolutely gorgeous. It's a lot of travelling, I have to say. We did travel an awful lot. A lot of time spent in taxis. Everyone in London is going somewhere but doing nothing, it feels like. Everywhere closes very early and people just are travelling left, right and centre, but not an awful lot happening either at the same time. But anyway, listen, we were very well looked after by Tiny Vaughan and all the crew over there. And as I say, if you want to listen back to that show, we'll try and get a podcast of it available for you in the not too distant future. It's great to chat to people from all over Ireland who have spent many years in London and have made London their home, but still continue to contribute to Irish life, both over there and over here. So, as I say, a lovely, lovely experience, but great to be home. Right, lots coming up on the programme today. So let's kick off with a look at the newspapers, and it's wall-to-wall presidential coverage. Of course, Fianna Fáil going to make their choice today. Sinn Féin, the speculation continues. Pierce Doherty's name still in the hat yesterday. Mary Lou McDonald pulled out. So there's plenty to talk about. The one thing I will say before I actually even get to that is I don't know the politics of those that are seeking nominations, but there are people from all over the country, including Donegal, that are going, travelling great distances and putting themselves in front of local authority members and explaining to them why they believe they should be nominated by they or them to run for the presidential election. And there's a little bit of, fun poking, I think, in some of the papers towards those people. But I don't know their politics, but I do know it wouldn't be me. And it takes an awful lot of a certain something to, I think, go to that bother and to go down there and say, this is why I believe I should. Now, I mean, obviously, some of them are more serious than others, I would presume. But I'd have admiration for their will to do it. As I say, that's not endorsing their politics or what they stand for, because I simply don't know. But anyway, housing costs drag 20% of children into poverty. This is 1 in 5 of our children. And why wouldn't you include housing costs? Because that is something we all face in one form or another. So 1 in 5 of our children are in poverty. That's as bad, almost as bad as it was during the recession. And here we are, apparently a very wealthy country. And we're told we're a wealthy country, and every indication that matters suggests otherwise. So 1 in 5 children in Ireland now lives in a family below the poverty line when housing costs are taken into account, according to new research from the Economic and Social Research Institute. It shows child poverty rates are now approaching the bleakest days of the economic crash, with many parents having to choose between food, clothing, lighting and heat as the cost of living crisis deepens. More than 225,000 children are now subject to income poverty after housing costs, the report notes. Now, think on their standard of life. Think on their standard of their gut health, for an example. I know parents will try their best, but if you have very little money, that's going to be reflected in what a child eats and all that type of stuff. So these could have lasting impacts potentially. The research published by the ESRI and Community Foundation Ireland uses data from the Central Statistics Office survey on income and living conditions. It is the fifth such report from a research programme exploring the revolution of poverty, income inequality and living standards in Ireland. And we're heading into a winter, and I do worry about people's sort of anxiety levels and mental health levels, because we're heading into a winter now and there's not going to be any double payments of social welfare. There's not going to be any one-off electricity payments. And I just wish, rather than maybe these universal measures that we introduced, if you could have, say, for instance, and I'm sure we could identify the 225,000 children's families, and not increase child's benefit for everyone, maybe just focus it on they, so that they are brought up to an acceptable level, or target those people specifically with the electricity payments. There's many people received them, didn't even need them, if the truth be told. Maybe I'm saying something controversial, I don't know. I just think if we could have got that money to the people that needed it, and many of them were in Donegal, because if you look at our statistics, if it's 1 in 5 nationally of children that are in poverty, I think it's going to be higher here. I think it's going to be higher in our county because of the level of income we have and the level of disposable income. And I just hope maybe over the last number of years we could have found a solution to make sure those who need the money most got it. But now that well apparently is run dry and no one's getting anything now. But I mean, it's a very personal thing if you're struggling. But maybe you are one of those families who are making choices over food, power, heat, clothes, and if you maybe want to help get the message across that there is that reality out there, because I read that article and it doesn't tell the full story. But if there's a person out there or persons who feel they're in that position and you want to speak to us, please feel free to do so. You can text us on 086 60 25,000 or call us on 07491 25,000. And after speaking about something like that, this whole presidential race sort of becomes or feels irrelevant. Micheál Martin faces a referendum on his leadership as Fianna Fáil representatives take part in a vote on who to endorse as their presidential candidate. And it's interesting because this is exactly how I framed it when Micheál Martin instantly came out and backed Jim Gavin. And I knew there was a little bit of disquiet in the party. And what has effectively happened is he has forced a vote that effectively feels like a referendum on his leadership, because even if it's narrow, so say Gavin gets it over Kelleher by a handful of votes, that's, over half the parliamentary party, who are the decision makers, right, who would be in disagreement with Micheál Martin. Now, it might be spun to say that, we're a party that allows free thinking and that's fine and all that kind of stuff. But the bottom line is this will tell us an awful lot as it relates to the popularity of Micheál Martin in Fianna Fáil, or at least the popularity of this decision. Well, barring any major upset, the former GEA manager Jim Gavin's expected to be chosen to contest the race for the Aris. But a strong showing by MEP Billy Kelleher, which I've just mentioned actually, would indicate dissatisfaction with the party leader, who has staunchly backed Mr. Gavin. Now, as I say, it could be spun to say that this is just on this decision and not his overall leadership. But the Taoiseach has been contacting TDs over the last 48 hours in an effort to shore up support for Mr. Gavin. But there has been growing confidence in Mr. Kelleher's camp that the vote will be close, and while his chances of pulling off a stunning shock are slim, he will do far better than expected. And it's a private vote as well, so if I were a Fianna Fáil parliamentary party member, I could say to Mr. Martin, I could say, yes, and Micheál, of course, I'll back Gavin. But then when it came to the vote, I could go for my friend, Mr. Kelleher. So, as I say, there's still much to play for there. So, as I mentioned there at the top of the show, Mary Lou McDonald, I believe if I were advising her or them, has made the right decision. Mary Lou McDonald yesterday ruled herself out as Sinn Féin's nominee for president. Instead, the party leader said it was her priority to lead from the front in holding the coalition to account. Mary Lou said, I have concluded that my role remains very firmly within the Dáil, leading this team of Sinn Féin representatives, but also working with others to ensure that the government is held to account in the here and now, and critically to ensure that when it comes to the next general election, that there is a viable and real alternative government on offer to the Irish people. Well, she's got an awful lot to do to establish Sinn Féin as that, because I think a lot of listeners to this show, and I think it was particularly after the last general election or before it, and a few things that came about, a lot of people that listen to this show who aren't sort of big party supporters sort of group Sinn Féin now in with the current government, in criticism. So Mary Lou McDonald has a lot to do leading that party to establish itself as a true alternative. But as I say, Piers Doherty's name is still being floated about. Maybe that's a good option for them. He can have a very successful campaign, even not win, and it doesn't necessarily damage the party or him. The Sinn Féin leader was asked if Northern Irish First Minister Michelle O'Neill, Donegal TD Piers Doherty, or Mayo TD Rose Conway Walsh could be the party's nominee. Instead, she said, you've mentioned some names of people whose names might be in the mix. There are potentially others, she said. Fine Gael are having their thinking. They're not back from the summer hollybobs yet, but they're having their thinking now. And a lot of the tension is on Taoiseach Simon Harris and his leadership of Fine Gael. And he said that he had to dig deep to show up at Fine Gael's annual thinking after multiple violent threats being made against him and his family. The party's parliamentary meeting in Mullingar yesterday had a large Garda presence as officers continued to investigate bomb threats at Mr Harris's home in County Wicklow. And yesterday, Sinn Féin leader Mary Lou McDonald spoke about the unnerving experience of a man threatening to shoot her. Speaking at the Mullingar Park Hotel, the Taoiseach said the horrific threats are clearly being made to intimidate him out of public office. However, he would not confirm or deny whether he's reconsidering his role due to the harassment. He said, I am not playing this game of yay or nay. Think how anybody would feel if in the last week somebody threatened to kidnap a child, carry out extreme violence against a close family relative and blow up your house. That's all happened in the last 7 days to me this time, and to who next time. I'm not willing to gloss over the fact I think that deserves reflection. And it's horrendous, actually. Whether you like or dislike someone politically, the decisions they've made or don't make, or even if you don't like them personally, to be threatening people, to be threatening their family, to be threatening children is completely unacceptable. And if you really are opposed to Simon Harris or whomever it might be, it actually it causes great distress to them, but it actually also can harden support for them. So if your motivation is to try and drive them out, it can be counterintuitive, but it should never be an option. It's completely despicable. And, play the man, not the ball, play the woman, not the ball. Kids, family members really should be completely and utterly off the table. Back to the budget. Budget 2026 is being planned, and whilst it's called Budget 2026, it will be unveiled this year. Sometimes I get confused about that myself, but it's the budget for, whilst some measures come into effect straight away, it is the budget for 26. Budget 26 is being planned without a clear roadmap for fiscal policy, the state's economic watchdog has warned. The Irish Fiscal Advisory Council has also recommended a reduction in the planned budget packet amid huge uncertainty. It said the planned package of $9.4 billion for the budget 2026 is not appropriate given the economy is still performing well. The watchdog has recommended a more restrained approach which would help avoid overheating the economy and leave room to respond to future downturns. Because if you look at various indicators, so in terms of construction and building, there's a little bit of uncertainty there. If you look at investment into Ireland, it's slowing down a little bit. There are businesses beginning to close. There are people who are starting to sort of say, this isn't worth me staying in business. And I think we're going to see a bit of a rush in that. And just if you look at a few things around the place, for me, it points to, and then of course there's the global issues, it points to maybe things tightening even further in this country. And I think the government, whatever they're doing, need to be incredibly careful in that regard. It was very busy on the phone lines yesterday, of course. Some talk about diffing. There was diffing on the Derry to Bridgend Road yesterday, shortly after 1 p.m, diffing at the roundabout, and then they headed out to the Letterkenny Road. They seem to feel that they can do it without fear of being caught. Regards to the diffing, a box of roofing tacks thrown on the road will stop them. Stop all of us, though. What about policing? What about having squad cars in the hotspots that can get in there straight away and apprehend these people? In relation to Fine Gael and their membership in the presidential election, I can't believe what I'm hearing from your Fine Gael councillor on the show yesterday. It's discrimination against the people by Fine Gael, Fianna Fáil. This is Fine Gael being told they must support Heather Humphreys under the whip. Any candidate that has anything to do with Fine Gael doesn't deserve a vote in the presidential election. The way they're running the country leaves a lot to be desired. And another trying to justify the dictatorship, but banding together to exclude someone who they think might have a strong chance of being elected. So I think various parties are employing different tactics in terms of whether their councillors can support candidates or not. All right, then, let's take a quick break. Loads coming up. Stay there.
Newspapers are kindly supplied by Cosgrove Centra, Mountaintop, Letterkenny. Now with the new look Mountaintop
Show
Diner.
is brought to you by Letterkenny Credit Union, offering low-rate car loans with fast approval. Apply online at letterkennycu.ie or in office today.
Ours to Protect is back on the airwaves this Wednesday after the 8 o'clock news. This month, we're flipping the switch on the hidden world of energy consumption. From the power we use to brew our morning tea to the electricity that charges our phones, we're diving into our daily habits. So join me, Donna Marie Doherty, and the bright young minds of Donegal as we explore the impacts of our energy choices. Ours to Protect is brought to you by Highland Radio, the IBI, and funded by Commission Man with a television licence fee.
Attention students, TFI Local Link bus services available nationwide can connect you to a wide range of colleges all year round. Save up to 50% on cash fares when you use your TFI Young Adult or Student Leap Card. For route and timetable information, visit transportforireland.ie. We're Transport for Ireland. We're Transport for you.
It's colourless, it's odorless, it's hard to detect. So carbon monoxide deserves your respect. It can kill you stone dead in just 3 minutes flat. And if you don't believe me, ask me dear Uncle Pat. Thanking you. Coal, tar, oil, gas, even wood, any fuel can harm. So get yourself a carbon monoxide alarm, or you might just wake up dead.
Hi, Paddy here at Shane Conley Cars in Donegal Town. Are you looking to upgrade your car? With Shane Conley Cars, you'll find makes and models for every budget. Great finance options, and we also accept trade-ins. Check out shaneconleycars.com or call in to us at Shane Conley Cars from Lonahur Road, Donegal Town.
Highland Radio Time Checks brought to you by EirGrid, the operator and developer of Ireland's electricity grid. EirGrid, powering up communities, powering up Ireland. The time is...
Okay, the time now is 9:21 and I'm joined on the programme by Kathleen Murray, founder of the Donegal ISPCA. Good morning to you. Are you there, Catherine? Or Kathleen, I beg your pardon. No, I've lost Kathleen, but I do believe Dita McMullen, director of the Donegal Animals in Need, is with me. Good morning, Dita.
Good morning.
Thank you so very much for joining us. And we're reacting to really some quite sad news, the closure of a very important facility.
Very, very sad news, yes. It's a black day for animals here in Donegal.
So what is the impact of the closure of the ISPCA Rehabilitation Centre in Ballyar?
Well, the impact is that we are going to be left really stranded up here in Donegal. Like, that centre was built for animals in Donegal, and it's now going to be, I don't know if it's going to be sold or what's going to happen to it, but with the closure there, they currently have 7 staff on, and you can imagine how many animals them 7 staff would have been fit to look after constantly. As it stands now, ourselves, Animals in Need, and Twin Town Lost and Found Dogs in Stranora are going to be the only 2 charities that are going to be working with animals. Official animals at Donegal SPCA, they are rehoming. There's a lot of smaller, private people doing it as well. But we are going to be the main ones. And, we are all just staffed by volunteers. So we don't have paid staff on. So it's all volunteers giving up their own time. And we have seen such an increase in calls over the last couple of weeks. And even the last week here, since the closure has kind of become known, it has been absolutely brutal, the amount of calls. And I mean, we cannot take them all in. We have been working at full capacity for so long as it is, and now with them not being fit to take any animals over there, it's devastating. It's devastating, and we know the losers are going to be the animals at the end of the day.
Well, what happens? Because, I mean, you can only do so much. A team of volunteers running at capacity, it's going to break your hearts and all because you're in the business of caring for animals. But what happens then?
Listen, it's going to be left up to the public. That's the only, anybody that, we've had to turn away a lot of calls here lately, just simply because we don't have the space. Yeah. And, people are going to have to just, if they find animals, they're going to have to look after them till homes can be found. That's going to be the short and the long of it.
Yeah, let's bring in
because there isn't space. There isn't space, and there isn't volunteers for it.
Yeah. Let's bring Kathleen Murray in, who's the founding member or a founding member of the Donegal SPCA. Your reaction to this news, Kathleen?
Well, this news is going to be it's going to put the county completely upside down. It's going to have a huge impact on animal welfare in the county, and the fear is that the future of the centre is very unstable at the moment, and we would like to have some kind of an agreement that the centre is going to remain for the animals of Donegal, because it was left to us through legacies to the Donegal SPCA, and that's why we built the centre as a legacy for the animals, so they will have somewhere to go, to be looked after, to rehabilitate and be rehomed or returned to the wild or whatever is necessary for them. And that's the function of the centre, and the people who left the legacies to us, that was our way of thanking them and providing basically a very long-term help to the animals. And so all of our money was sunk into the centre, and so it left us then that we had very little money, so we had to recoup when it was over, because it was handed over to the ISPCA, because they had money to run the centre at the time, and we didn't have enough to actually run it. But then it was basically, there's lots of meetings and lots of agreements that, animals in Donegal would be prioritised and that the centre would always be there for the animals and things. And I tried to get some safety things put in place at the time, but in case the ISPCA ever went bust or whatever, and it was just deemed not necessary at the time, because nobody wanted to foresee that would ever happen. But it's happened, and now they're merging with the DSPCA and handing over assets between them to each other, which includes the centre. And it has nothing got to do with the DSPCA, because they're the Dublin SPCA. And we want that centre to remain in Donegal. So if it's not financially viable for them.
So what infrastructure is there, Kathleen? What infrastructure is actually there, and what is going to happen to it with this closure?
Well, what's going to happen to it is they're still in talks about what the future of it is. I've had emails with the ISPCA, and the future is still being discussed. They haven't decided on anything yet. And what's happening is the DSPCA will now also be involved, and who knows, they might decide to reopen it under the new national SPCA, but if it's not viable for them either, then it's up in the air. They could decide to sell it.
But it is a valuable asset, isn't it not?
It's a very valuable asset, because the legacies that were left to us were about, between the three of them, they were up on 800,000 more, actually. And it cost up on $1 million to build and outfit that building. So that's quite a handover to somebody for nothing, in the good faith that they would look after the animals of Donegal.
you would imagine if they had intentions, and I'm only speculating here. You'd imagine if they had intentions to continue it under a different organisation, that they would do that without a period of closure, because obviously you'd hope in the business of looking after animals, the last thing you're going to do is, leave that gap there for any period of time if you have an intention to open it again under sort of a different leadership, or however you want to phrase it.
Yeah. Absolutely. I totally agree with you. There's no need to close it at all. It could have been a smooth takeover if that was going to be the way it was going to go, and remain in the county and be for the animals of the county mainly. It's not to say that we wouldn't have other animals coming in because they're a national organisation, but at least it's there for our animals, which is what it was intended for in the first place. And now that it's closed, that it's actually closed, the staff are out of jobs. And I mean, I really do have to pay tribute to Denise in particular, because she has been unbelievable in that centre. She actually lived with those animals for the whole duration of that time. And now so she's out with her future up in the air as well as the others. And it's very difficult for them all, and there's no need to close it at all. It could have been kept going. So I don't know what the future is. I don't know. They're playing the cards very close to the chest. They're not saying, and then all of a sudden they announce that they have done this or whatever. But nobody ever rang us at any stage to say that they were even in trouble, so that we could even try to support or run a fundraiser or anything. They just went ahead, did what they did, signed over what they signed over, and left us all now sitting here wondering what the future is going to be. But we really need this to work out for the animals, because the legacies were a huge amount of money left by people in good faith, and that needs to be honoured. If we can't honour that, what use are we?
Kathleen, what interventions required here now? I mean, obviously, as you say, the ISPCA, DI, whichever it is, keeping their cards close to their chest. So, like, do you believe the council have a role in this? The government? I don't know. Like, what intervention might get some clarity for us at the very least?
Right. Well, the first thing that I think needs to be done is, I think the people of this county need to show support for the centre and for the animals, because it's absolutely needed in this county, and it's going to be a huge loss to the animals and to the people of the county. So I would encourage people, if they want to show their solidarity, want to show their support, that they show up maybe outside the centre on Thursday afternoon about 2:30, just to show that they are interested in what's going on, and they do want clarification, and they do want to know that the centre is going to stay in the county for the animals. And then it's up to the county to decide what to do with it after that, because the money will be staying on the county. But it's to get the ISPCA and the DSPCA to agree to that. That's where the problem lies.
Yeah, Dita, and you have to plan
they
for.
haven't decided yet.
Yeah, Dita, you have to plan for every eventuality, and that's why you're appealing for the community's help in this regard, and even actually coordinating that is a strain on the already stretched resources of the volunteers of AIN. But something has to be done.
Something has to be done, and it will be done. Like, we're encouraging people to contact the Donegal County Council and just call for proper funding and support for the animal welfare services in Donegal, because we are going to need support. We and any other charity, anybody else that works with rescues, are going to need support, because it is a major loss.
Yeah, Kathleen, you wanted to come back in there?
Yeah, I agree with Gitta, because they're doing phenomenal work in the county. There's no doubt about it. And they need support. They need to have the centre as well going there, because the centre has been, all of us have been working through the centre as well in one way or another, either sending people who are looking for dogs or referring them for whatever. And it's part of the setup here. And if it's missing, it's going to be a huge loss. And what's going to replace it? As I say, animals in need are going to be under phenomenal pressure. We're going to be under phenomenal pressure, as are the other registered charities. And the numbers are not decreasing in this county. It's gone up and up and up. People are handing over dogs. People are handing over cats. I mean, the centre out there has dealt with more cats than any other centre, more wildlife than any other centre in Ireland. So this county needs this support, be it from the county council or be it from wherever. It needs to come, and it needs to be real. People need to really start thinking about the future of it, because it's going to be chaos here if that centre goes.
Did you agree, I'm sure? Dita? You agree
Yes,
with Kathleen
hello,
there, I'm
sorry.
sure. Yeah, I'm sure you're agreeing with Kathleen there that something needs to happen and something needs to happen quickly.
It needs to happen quickly because there is this is a busy time. I mean, since COVID, the dog situation has been at crisis. The dog breeding, the dog rehoming, it's just been at crisis. Never mind the cats. We're the only rescue now that actually deals with cats, that has any facility for cats. I know a lot of people take them in privately and all, but we're the only ones that has any kind of facility at all for cats. And it's just people don't understand about the nutrient. I mean, even if it was, fund nutrient campaign, anything at all from the council side, will be called for.
Yeah.
And
okay.
it will be sooner rather
And
than
also,
later, leaving it a year down the line. We saw what happened during COVID. Just that break in everything, it just was detrimental to the whole situation.
You wanted to come in
And
there,
also,
Kathleen?
Can I just say for a second? Yeah, just for a second. I was going to say, and volunteers are much harder to get now than they were years ago. Much harder. Everybody seems to want to get paid for stuff now. And volunteers are what runs it. And Gitta and myself and all the people of that generation that were involved in Donegal Pet Rescue and Animals in Need and Donegal ISPCA, all the people of that generation are now getting older and not as able to cope anymore and getting tired. And we need young people coming up to offer their services, to offer their help, and to offer to help fundraise. We really do need that support. And that's why I would appeal to anybody who's interested in animal welfare. Please get involved. Please help out. Even if it's only to foster a couple of cats, even if it's only to foster a dog now and again or something. But please do get in contact.
And just to pick up on that, I think both of you are sort of seeing a gap in willingness of new generations coming through that will actually do this kind of work voluntarily in the true sense of the word.
Yes, absolutely.
Talk to me a bit more about that.
A big loss. It is a big loss. We do see that it's an older generation that's interested and that's willing to give up their time, as Catherine was saying there. People are struggling. The money isn't there. People have to get paid for their work. People are working flat out. So it's not just as much of a willingness. It's just that they're not able to work voluntary.
Yeah.
But we would be in desperate need of volunteers. And I know other charities, it's the exact same thing. They all need volunteers.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Well, listen. I mean, obviously, we've heard kind of the union angle on this, and what have you, and of course the impact it has on workers, and that's very, very important. It's interesting to get both your perspectives
Absolutely.
in relation to the animal welfare side of it. The situation Thursday afternoon, Kathleen, you mentioned at 2:30. Has that been arranged, or did you just throw that out there? Because there's people inquiring as to what's going on Thursday.
Yeah, just to meet down at the gates of the centre on Thursday. And I'll be there, and hopefully other animal charities will also come and support it, and as many people as possible to show their support and show their solidarity in working for the animals of Donegal, and just to be there to show that we're serious. We need this to stay in the county. This was left to us. This is our legacy for animals, and we really need it. It belongs to the animals of Donegal. Yeah.
And
So
and the people
who
who banked it as well. Did it too. Finally, we have to reiterate, and the message has never been more important now. Don't take on pets that you can't look after. If you have pets that need neutering, get them neutered. Find a way to do that, because we're facing down the barrel potentially of having not enough facilities for what might be required. So responsible ownership's never been more important, especially as we head towards Christmas, etc.
Yes,
absolutely.
That is true. Mm-hmm.
Okay, both of you.
No argument there.
Yeah, both of you. Thank you very, very much indeed. I greatly appreciate your time, and we'll cover this, of course, into the future. On Friday, you would have heard that SIP2 urged Agriculture Minister Martin Hayden to intervene in the situation surrounding the closure of the ISPCA's Rehabilitation Centre in Balliar. The union has been involved in discussions within the association about its plans ahead of a forthcoming merger between the ISPCA and the DSPCA, and what we don't really know is exactly what's going to happen. In terms of obviously great concern for people's jobs, because they are very committed to what they're doing as well, but also in terms of having facilities for animals. A caller says, and it's a brief one, every pet owner needs to step up here. Yeah, indeed. And I think that kind of falls under the conversation or suggestion I had that, not the suggestion, it's an obvious thing, that we have to be extra vigilant in terms of pet ownership, or whether you've got a cat that could end up having 7 or 8 kittens that somebody else is going to have to deal with. All right, anything to say in relation to that? 086 60 25,000, 086 60 25,000, or call us on 074 91 25,000.
Watch the show live now on YouTube, Facebook, and at highlandradio.com.
The 9 till noon show with Letterkenny Credit Union. Simplify your debts with a debt consolidation loan from Letterkenny Credit Union. Call us on 074 910 2126 or apply online via our app or in office today. Thunder Rolls, Garth Brooks tribute live at the Villa Rose Hotel on Saturday, October 11th. All Garth's biggest hits, Friends in Low Places, the Thunder Rolls, The Dance, Beaches of Cheyenne, Unanswered Prayers and more in a spectacular 2-hour live band tribute. Tickets €25. Visit villarose.ie and let the thunder roll.
At Specsavers, we've got hearing devices that can stream music or movies. Ones that are good in crowds, rechargeable battery ones that are good at home, ones that are good in the great outdoors, ones that connect to phones, ones that fit in your ear, ones that fit over your ear, ones that fit in wherever you happen to be. We've even got ones in our advanced range that use AI to make speech sound clearer. And they're all available at great Specsavers prices. So book a free hearing check today. Terms and conditions apply.
Who's watching your home while you're asleep, at work, or on holiday? With the Sheridan Security Alarm System, you can be assured of round-the-clock monitoring. Our central monitoring station is on duty 24 hours a day, 365 days a year, monitoring homes and businesses in the northwest for intruder, fire, panic, and medical signals, giving you the peace of mind you deserve. Sheridan Security Systems, Bonagee, Letterkenny, protecting what you value most. Call us for a free quotation on 9126 6025.
I was in pain with my right hip going to different countries on a flight. With the pain I was in, wasn't really an option. I googled hospitals in Belfast and Kingsbridge came up.
Public patients in the Republic of Ireland can get rapid access to cross-border surgeries at Kingsbridge private hospitals in Belfast and Derry, with medical costs reimbursed by the HSE. Find out more at kingsbridgeprivatehospital.com/cross-border. Kingsbridge, your fast track to 5-star care. Terms and conditions apply.
Tim Hayes, former head of communication at the European Commission representation in Ireland, will visit the Central Library on Monday the 22nd of September at 11 a.m. Tim will give a presentation on misinformation and disinformation in the EU and also highlight Sustainable Development Goals Week, which aims to raise awareness of sustainable consumption, nature conservation, climate action, peace and justice. To book this free event, contact the Central Library or email eudirect@donegallibrary.ie.
All right, you're very welcome back to the 9 till noon show. We're joined on the programme now by Councillor Paul Canning, Cathaoirleach of Donegal County Council. Good morning to you, Paul. Thanks for joining us.
Good morning, Greg. How are you? Good morning to your listeners.
Right, now, the conversation of rail back up and running again. What's your feelings on the possibility of rail ever being restored to our county? Or I was going to say our lifetimes, but we don't know how long that might be. So let's stick to just open-ended timelines.
Yeah, well, open-ended timelines would be a bit right. Well, it's all, as you well know, it's all about linkages to our capital city and to the major cities. So we are in the process, but we're a long way off. In relation to where we're at the minute, we are concentrating. You know the map that's always rolled out, showing Donegal and the northwest as having no linkages. So at the minute, we are working with Derry and Strabane Council to progress the link that takes Derry to Portadown via Strabane, Newton, that old link down Strabane, Newton Stewart, Dungannon, and across to Portadown. That will link us then to Newry to start linking the northwest, and then at a future stage, then we are linking the Derry to Letterkenny. But we're chatting the dates that has been pointed there, the Derry deported down is a 2040 timeline, and the Letterkenny one is a 2050 timeline.
Yeah,
so
but
you
why
can add
can't
years to
we?
that
Of
as
course
well.
you can, but why can't we crack on with it? Like, say, for instance, there's a brand new road that hopefully will eventually be built to the border. Should we not be incorporating space alongside that road for this potential rail line so that we're not going back through the whole planning process once again? I mean, would that not be a logical thing to be doing now to ensure that we take enough land whilst we're building a new road to the border to accommodate this rail line? That's the type of forward planning, surely, that could make this more deliverable in a more timely fashion.
Yeah, to a point. The situation with railway, the landscape and the topography is different for a railway line as for a road. So you have heights and hollows that a railway line can't perform on to the same extent as a road. So a lot of the time, the road, if you were to try and build a railway line along a road, then you're taking a road and a different route to suit the railway line, which is not viable a lot of the time. So we have to, as much as we're doing directives and habitats and protection of this and protection of that, as assessments, our route selections a lot of time will be different, and you'll discover that in a lot of it's different out Middle Europe where we're not full of drumlins. So that's the situation we are in. So we're linkage and in relation to the Portadown and to Derry that we met with Liz Kimmins on Thursday about, and the government in there have given 300,000 for the feasibility and all of that study to be done. We're hanging on to that same hook as Donegal for Letterkenny to Strabane to Derry, So that's where we're at, but we're at very early stages, Greg, at this stage of the game. But our route will probably still have to go, something similar to where it used to be along the St. Johnson direction, because of the flat land that's there.
I just feel that those timelines could be more favourable if there was a proper political will there, Paul. And there are a lot of people that for them we're talking about something for 2050 and they don't believe it to be the right idea. Should we be going down the west coast? Should we be trying to hook into Sligo? Would that not be suit more people, suit more of the county, be more practical? Like, are we putting all our eggs into the wrong basket?
Well, you see, we as you always know, there's always a study about everything, So there was a study done, and it's based on this. It was an all-island strategic rail review that was done, and this is what came out of it. This is the front runner that came out of it. Now, within that same rail review, they didn't actually, the West Coast link along the Atlantic corridor, for a better word, what you're saying, the Derry to Letterkenny to Sligo to Galway to Limerick. We have to work, be positive and be supportive of that. But as a direct link, it's a low-hanging fruit if we try to connect to the Northern Ireland rail network as to try and go down the coast, because it's Dublin that we need to be linking to as much as anywhere else, so we need to be linking there first. Mm-hmm. And also be going the west coast as well. But we have so much linkages to do because we have so little up here.
Yeah, it's not. Listen, it's not fantastic, positive interview. I think it's just a reality check, and that's not. I'm not putting that on you. It's just we're speaking in reality.
Yeah, where we're at. Yeah.
I mean, I don't think I will ever get onto a train in Letterkenny ever, and that's just the fact. And that's if I were to live to 100. But anyway, 70 of your party colleagues have a vote today. Gavin versus Kelleher. Which you don't have a vote. Which way would you be voting?
Well, I don't know. Am I allowed to sit on the fence?
Not really.
I'll tell you what. I met Jim Gavin. He was up in Letterkenny, and he met a number of us. And because and the whole county knows how strong I'm affiliated to the GAA, I hardly knew the man. But we met him, and a very, very down to earth man, and was, looking for advice and looking for, a way forward. And what struck me about him, he asked me, I said, I'm the wrong person to ask, because I'm 15 years in politics, and I'm still not a politician, because I don't know the ins and outs of it. And I said, I'm the wrong person. But what struck me about him, he didn't land and said, I'm Jim Gavin and I'm the Dublin manager and I'm this and that. He was very down to earth. He spoke about his father driving a lorry and then driving a CIE bus. And he spoke about his mother being a teacher and struggled to put them through the whole process. And also, whenever we went into discussion about, the troubles far off, you know what I mean, the Palestinian, all of that, he was able to say that he wore the blue helmet. He was one of the soldiers that was on the ground, so very down to earth.
But then
very
you've
nice
got
man,
one
very
of your
quiet.
own in Billy Kelleher, who's given his life to the party. He's very popular. He's been out representing Fianna Fáil in Europe as well, and he's also looking, for one of those, for all of those or many of those 70 votes. So, do you?
Yeah.
Which way would you go if you had to get off the fence? Do you back one of your own guys, or do you back someone outside the party?
Well, you see, we asked him about, the being outside the party and all of that aspect of it, but because of the role that he had within the aviation, and I see it in relation to here, where we have senior officials working in senior posts that can't declare their allegiance to the party because of the role that they hold within their particular employment. So to say that he was outside of the party mightn't be the right language. He just couldn't show his colours.
Right, so you're not going to say one way or other, and that's fine. It's up to you. Conor McGregor, do you think he'll find a pathway to the presidency? He's written a letter to the CEO. He says he believes now is the time for an independent, people-first voice to enter the Iris. He says you might not necessarily have to agree with what he stands for, but getting him onto that ballot paper would be a stand for democracy, fairness and representation. Do you think he will get, will he get it in Donegal? No, probably not, of course. Or you wouldn't know.
Well, the situation with it, I got a few days ago, we had sent a letter requesting through to my email. We have about probably 15 people now on the ballot paper, are going to be on a ballot paper for the purpose of selection, to be given the opportunity to run. I agree with the democratic process and how it works out, and how everybody has the right to listen, to put their name forward, and anybody that does put their name forward, fair play to them to put their neck out there, as in all political posts, So listen, it's open to anybody to put their name forward. They have to be a certain age, but it's getting on the ladder.
And have you scheduled your meeting yet, Paul? Because I presume you'll have a meeting.
No, we will be scheduling a meeting now. I'll be speaking to the council officials and that, and we will probably more than likely have a meeting probably early part of next week, to give an opportunity to people.
And then what's the process then, Paul? Sorry, pardon my ignorance. What's the process then? So, yeah, you give them 5 or 6 minutes each. I'm not sure McGregor would actually turn up, but anyway, we'll wait and see. You give them 5 or 6 minutes each, and do we know what the process is after that, as to whether or not they get an endorsement?
Well, there's just going on Kerry's performance. What they had is they brought everybody in and they gave them all 5 minutes each, to address the councils. Now we might go in a different process because of our location, because of time frame, and because of these guys are on a tight schedule. So there might be a process maybe available for them that they can do an audio online and send it to.
I
each
don't know if
person
they
and
seriously, if they can't make it up to Donegal seeking your support, how could you back them? That's the whole idea, that we're too far away, for crying out loud.
Yeah, but that's it's we have to give them options, and also if you're sitting listening to 15 people in the chamber telling you the same story, it'll be difficult. It'll be hard to decide just there and then. So we need to make the most of our time as well whenever you'd be presented, because you don't want to be coming back 2 or 3 times to vote.
And are you on a whip
So
in Fianna Fáil, or would you be able to vote freely?
Well, I don't like the word "whoop," but
you're told by the party HQ whether you can actually back someone or not. I mean, it's I'm not saying you're a horse.
In relation to that, it's we're not on a whoop, but even if we were on a whoop, it's an easy, and I know the next question you're going to ask me is going to be in relation to Fine Gael. If we'll just take it to if Michael Murphy, for instance, GAA decided to go out on a solo, we wouldn't be winning a pile. He might have a good game, but he's part of a team. And just in relation to Fianna Fáil, in relation to Sinn Féin, in relation to Fine Gael, we are part of a team. And that's probably the success that we do have, that we are a team. We are a team because we can't, if you're going to be the team and Fianna Fáil hasn't got the whoop on, but in relation to Fine Gael that have the whoop on, they're part of a team, and it's very easy.
They can do whatever they like.
Yeah,
listen,
you know what I mean.
Thanks for covering that range of subjects. I do appreciate it, but time has caught up on me. Paul, thank you very much indeed. Councillor Paul Canning there, who is the Cahirlock of Donegal County Council.
The 9 till noon show is brought to you by Letterkenny Credit Union. Digital loans now available. Apply online or via our app today and get your loan transferred directly to your current account.
New this week in Home Store and More. All bar stools are all half price. But better hurry, because when all our half price bar stools are gone, they're gone. Also, all mattress toppers are still all 33% off. And all painting and DIY accessories are still all half price. But when all the 33% off mattress toppers and all the half price painting and DIY accessories are gone, they're definitely gone. Drop by your local Home Store and More. Visit us online at homestoreandmore.ie. Home Store and More. A happy home.
Do you sometimes struggle to hear? It could just be earwax and it's easily treated. Hidden Hearing right now are offering free earwax removal for everyone over 60, carried out by our qualified earwax technicians. Call 1-800-370-000 or go to hiddenhearing.ie. Hidden Hearing, your hearing is our expertise. T's and C's apply.
Get more for less with lunchboxes that always pass the test. Because there's 3 for 2 across Lunchbox Essentials with Lidl Plus. That's right, we have soft fresh breads, tasty Irish cooked meats, and delicious Irish cheeses to please absolutely everyone. Simply scan, pay and save with Lidl Plus.
SSE Airtricity are bringing you better value than ever before with our very best dual fuel plan. Get 35% off electricity plus 30% off gas, saving you up to €928. Don't miss out on the opportunity to start making savings. Simply visit ssceairtricity.com today and join the thousands who have already made the switch. SSE Airtricity. This is Generation Green. EAB €2,475. Offer available to new domestic customers from July 31st, 2025. Rates valid from April 2nd, 2025. For T&Cs, tariff, standing charge, claim verification and exit fees, see ssceairtricity.com.
Highland Radio weather updates brought to you by McElhenny's. With new season styles arriving daily, discover the latest fashion, footwear and accessories for autumn in store or shop online at mcelhennys.com today.
Okay, mostly cloudy today with scattered outbreaks of mostly light rain and drizzle. The rain and drizzle will gradually clear later in the afternoon and evening with some scattered showers to follow and perhaps a few limited bright or sunny spells. Temperatures 15 to 17 degrees. That's going to be the theme of the weather this week, and it could turn somewhat nasty towards the end of the week and into next weekend. We'll keep an eye on that for you. We're going to take a break after the news. We'll be back with Community Garda information for this Tuesday and so much more.
The 9 till noon show with Letterkenny Credit Union, now offering mortgages from €40,000 to €600,000 with no hidden fees or transaction charges. Letterkenny Credit Union, 9102127.
You've got experience. Now it's time to build on it. With Skills to Advance, get the tools to grow with flexible, tailor-made courses in areas like AI, digital skills, sustainability, technology, leadership and management. They're short, practical and low cost. So whether you're looking to step up, switch paths or stay sharp, this is your next move. Contact your local education and training board or visit skillstoadvance.ie. Skills to Advance. Boost skills, boost business. Supported by Solus and the Government of Ireland.
We carry those up long before the day breaks, who make our lives better, whatever it takes. And for those who need some extra assistance, we'll get you on board. We'll go the distance. With new electric vehicles, quiet and cleaner, our growing TFI network helps keep Ireland greener for the days of your life and the big nights out too. We're Transport for Ireland. We're transport for you.
Your wedding day deserves a setting as breathtaking as your love story. At Harvey's Point in Donegal, say I do on the sparkling shores of Loch Esk, framed by the majestic Blue Stack Mountains. From romantic outdoor ceremonies to elegant receptions in our grand ballroom, every moment is designed with love and delivered with 5-star care. Harvey's Point. Love at first sight. True love forever. Start your journey with a personal viewing. Visit harveyspoint.com. Your forever begins here.
Ensure the safety of your team with SafeTech. We have part-funded courses in first aid, people moving and handling, confined spaces, food hygiene, quad bikes, fire warden, IPAF MUPS, electrofusion, welding and machinery cards for Ireland and UK sites. Also delivering online courses like utilities, water hygiene and construction supervisors. SafeTech can deliver group training at your business premises. To find out more, contact safetech.ie today.
When the time comes, the last thing you want is for your family to worry about funeral costs. That's why On Post Insurance offers funeral insurance for those aged 50 to 75. A simple way to help ease the burden for the people you care about most. Take a moment today to plan ahead. Call 0818 22 22 22 or visit onpostinsurance.ie. Acceptance criteria, terms and conditions apply. One Direct Ireland Limited, trading as On Post Insurance, is regulated by the Central Bank of Ireland. One Direct Ireland Limited is a wholly owned subsidiary of On Post. Funeral insurance is underwritten and provided by New Ireland Assurance Company plc. On Post Insurance is a tied agent of New Ireland Assurance Company plc for life assurance business.
Live, on air, online and on the Highland Radio app. This is Highland Radio News.
Good morning, it's 10 o'clock. Donal Kavanagh at the news desk. A founder member of the Donegal Society for the Prevention of Cruelty to Animals says it's deeply concerning that the ISPCA has closed its facility in Ballyar ahead of a takeover by the Dublin SPCA. Kathleen Murray says the building was actually developed by the Donegal Group on the basis of legacies received and then handed over to the ISPCA on the understanding that it would be kept for animals in need in the county. She believes the building should be handed back to the Donegal Group, but there is no legal basis for that to happen, and her fear is its future would be based on business imperatives rather than the welfare of animals. On today's 9 till noon show, she urged people to show their support later this week.
I think the people of this county need to show support for the centre and for the animals, because it's absolutely needed in this county, and it's going to be a huge loss to the animals and to the people of the county. So I would encourage people, if they want to show their solidarity, want to show their support, that they show up maybe outside the centre on Thursday afternoon about 2:30, just to show that they are interested in what's going on and they do want clarification and they do want to know that the centre is going to stay in the county for the animals.
The European Parliament has been told that the defective block crisis is a clear and present danger to thousands of men, women and children living in Donegal. Midlands North West MEP Kieran Malooly says the issue is not just about bricks and mortar and faulty regulations. He warned the EU Commission must act to save lives. Speaking in Strasbourg, Mr Malooly said those in power will be held to account unless action is taken.
The Commission has launched an infringement procedure against Ireland and we patiently await its outcome. Commissioner Sojourner, get this sorted out. Get on with it. Our lives will be lost and I will hold you and the Irish government responsible if that happens.
Taoiseach Simon Harris has criticised social media companies over their handling of threatening posts online. It comes after bomb and kidnapping threats were made against his family over the past week. Simon Harris says no social media company is great at managing dangerous content, and those targeted have to do their own detective work. He says the recent incidents have made him question whether political life is worth the impact on his family.
I kind of balk when I hear this idea of, sure, just no keyboard warrior, just somebody at home. I don't really care. I don't really care who it is. No. I don't really care what their motivation is. It is criminal to threaten violence on people. It is criminal to threaten to attack people's children. It's criminal to threaten sexual violence on people. And it also incites hatred.
Presidential candidate Catherine Connolly is visiting Donegal this week. The independent TD is due to travel to the county on Thursday and Friday. Ms Connolly's trip will include visits to Arranmore Island, Gweedore, Milford, Buncrana, Mallinhead, Letterkenny, Ballybofey, the Glenties Harvest Fair, Ardra and Donegal Town. She says she's looking forward to meeting and engaging with local communities and acknowledges that Donegal is a county that acutely faces the same challenges as the rest of the country, including a housing crisis, inadequate healthcare service and a chronic lack of infrastructure. Meanwhile, Conor McGregor has officially written to Donegal County Council seeking nomination to run in the presidential election. In his letter to the Chief Executive of the Council, he says he believes now is the time for an independent, people-first voice to enter Áras an Uachtaráin, one that he says reflects the values, struggles and aspirations of ordinary Irish citizens. European fishing leaders are gathering in Killybegs this week with a challenge to new EU control rules high on the agenda. The AGM of the European Association of Fish Producer Organisations opens tomorrow at Ireland's largest fishing port. It's being hosted by the Killybegs Fishermen's Organisation and the Irish Fish Producers Organisation. Delegates from 17 producer organisations across Europe, along with senior EU Commission officials, will debate urgent challenges facing the sector. There'll be a sharp focus on the impact on controversial new EU fishery control regulations. KO Food Executive Dominic Ryan says the proposed regulations will damage Killybegs.
We've been trying to work with our own control authorities in the SFPA to make Killybegs an attractive port for foreign vessels fishing off the Irish coast to land into Ireland. That would bring in raw material to our process, which is badly needed. These rules are imposing very extensive sampling regimes on fishing vessels and the processors ashore. So it certainly won't make the situation in Killybegs any better. It certainly won't attract vessels into Killybegs as a port.
Mostly cloudy today with scattered outbreaks of mostly light rain and drizzle at times. Top temperatures of 15 to 17 degrees Celsius. And that's Highland Radio News. We're back with news headlines again at 11. Check all the day's news on our website, highlandradio.com. But for now, from the news team, good morning.
The obituary notice is for this Tuesday morning, September the 9th. The death has occurred of Owen Byrne, Portnew Road, Ardra. Remains reposing at McCabe's funeral home from 7 o'clock to 10 o'clock today. There will be a private removal from there for family at 10 o'clock tonight. Wake will take place at Owen's residence on Portnew Road tomorrow and Thursday from 12 noon to 10 o'clock. Funeral from there at 22:12 on Friday morning, going to the Church of the Holy Family Ardra for funeral mass at 12 noon. Burial afterwards in the adjoining cemetery. House strictly private on the morning of the funeral, please. The death has taken place of Anthony Diver, 79 Spring Hill Park, Strabane, reposing at his parents' home, 6 Lansdowne Park, Strabane. Funeral leaving his parents' home tomorrow morning at 9:20 for Requiem Mass in the Church of the Immaculate Conception, Strabane at 10 o'clock. Interment afterwards in Strabane Cemetery. Family time please from 10 o'clock to 11 o'clock and on the morning of the funeral. The Requiem Mass can be viewed live via the parish webcam. The death has occurred of Mark Fields, late of Drumbo Lower and the Grove, Stranorlar, County Donegal, reposing at McGuyan's funeral home, Drumbo Avenue, Stranorlar, today and tomorrow from 6 o'clock until 8 o'clock. A celebration of Mark's life will take place at McGuyan's funeral home, Drumbo Avenue, at 11 o'clock on Thursday morning, followed by a private cremation at Lakelands Crematorium, Cavan. Family flowers only please. Donations in lieu of flowers if so desired to the Donegal Hospice, care of Martin McGuyan, funeral director or any family member. And the death has taken place of Rosaline Doherty, Shankill, Dublin, Derry and Buncrana, reposing at the Church of the Sacred Heart, Donnybrook. Funeral mass this afternoon at 12:30, followed by burial at Dean's Grange Cemetery. The funeral mass can be viewed on churchservices.tv. For family information and more details regarding wakes and funerals, please go to highlandradio.com.
Hiya. Listen, you weren't kidding about pet insurance. I should have got it. Just had Piper at the vet's. She ate what is turning out to be the most expensive bar of chocolate of all time. Don't worry, she's fine. My bank account? Not so much.
Real life. Written by you, underwritten by Allianz. Protect your pet with 12% off new pet insurance policies at allianz.ie. Allianz PLC is regulated by the Central Bank of Ireland. Standard acceptance criteria and terms and conditions apply.
The county's #1 talk show, the 9 till noon show on Highland Radio.
Welcome back. Coming up very shortly, Community Garda information and much more as well. Failed policy written on a matchbox. The railway lines were built on all over Donegal. We can't even get a greenway on those former lines. I wonder who's to blame there. I think, what you might see in different parts of the world is that there is a stay on what can happen often in relation to lines that are, so in other words, say there was a government policy, there's normally a bit of a stay on that. So if an incoming government then said, no, actually, we need to invest back into this particular line, that you couldn't operate on them for a certain amount of time. But I think even, a lot of time has passed since. So I think the expectation that they could still be there to be accessed all these years later, it would be nice, but I don't think it's going to happen. Sinn Féin are no longer a viable alternative, believes a listener. They failed to hold the government to account and they have gone silent. Hi Greg, it's 9:10 on the 4 lanes and it's in gridlock again from the Dry Arch. Yeah, it's I know people are growing increasingly frustrated with the traffic situation, and if you're looking to get into work for 9:30 or even 9 and you're on the 4 lanes at that time, it's not going to happen, is it? Right, okay, there was a conversation yesterday on the show about tricolours popping up around the place. Convoy seemed to be a particular focus. A listener says it also must be highlighted that buses of immigrants enter Ireland under the cover of Ireland. I don't know what that means, but thank you. For God's sakes, there's nothing intimidating about the flag of the country in which you're living in and being hosted in. Plenty of other flags that there's no mention about. Another, if Joe's a problem with flying the Irish flag in Ireland, then Joe is the problem. I'm sure any Irish that emigrated to America had no issue with the American flag. The hospital staff is a low IQ argument. Irish people have no issue with people that came here through the correct legal channels and actually helped the country. Now, I was travelling, so I wasn't privy to this conversation. The motivation for the erection of flags obviously is going to be the point, right? It is the national flag of this country. If you go to certain parts of America, every house has an American flag outside it, and it's treated with a great deal of respect, and it's seen as a proud thing to do. We struggle here. I think this is kind of a problem of our pride in the flag and our respect for the flag and how we've used it over the years. I think that people putting flags up is seen as being a political movement, which is remarkable. And I'm not saying that conversation or that debate's not justified, but I think it's because of our relationship with celebrating our Irishness that has now become an issue. There's no other, or very few other countries in the world, I'd imagine, where erecting your national flag would be seen as political as it is. A caller says the Irish that went abroad were not given handouts. The majority of people that come here from other countries come here on work visas, by the way. The CSO stats will point to the fact. Now, I know you will argue and say, yeah, but in my area, there's an awful lot of people, this, that and that, right? But the majority of people coming into Ireland now are coming here legally. A caller says, I'm a Polish national and I don't feel intimidated by Irish flags at all. In fact, it's lovely to see the Irish flags up everywhere. So that's someone who's a non-Irish national. We are full. We can't look after ourselves. What about the amount of pride flags that go up? When people say they don't agree with that, they are not listened to. And just a mix of different comments here as we head towards the break. Hi Highland, could you find out why is the Garda not doing anything about the amount of cars on the roads with tinted number plates? Some are so dark you can't see the numbers. Well, they do a level of enforcement in relation to that. The majority of homes multi-car homes will have one where the number plates aren't necessarily legal. There's a lot of number plate changing goes on before and after NCTs. It'd almost be a full-time job cracking down on that. Let me see. What about Conor McGregor's bid for the presidency? Are we going to address that fiasco? And that was put to Councillor Paul Canning, and I did put that to him. We live in the top of Lismonaghan. Last night, this is Sunday night now, at 10:30pm, there were 45 eggs thrown against the front door of our house window. By the time we investigated, there was nobody about. I'm wondering, did anyone else experience this? So this is a family that were hammered with eggs around about 10:30pm on Sunday night in the Lismonaghan area. It's very possible those behind it don't understand how annoying it is, how messy it is, and how intimidating it is. I don't like it at all. But anyone else in and around that area, or anywhere else for that matter, found their homes pelted with eggs. That was on Sunday night. Right, now, a caller says convoy was already mixed before refugees came in. It was a mix of Catholics and Protestants. I disagree with people coming into convoy who don't live here, coming in during the night to put up these flags. The people who have moved here support the local community. Our nursing home would not be supported without people who are from different countries. But I suppose it goes down to the people themselves. We heard from one Polish person, and maybe there are other people that live in this country now that find the flag intimidating. I can't imagine if I went to Spain and everywhere I turned there were Spanish flags that it would feel directed at me or I would feel unwanted. But then again, I suppose if I was privy to a national conversation where some are their motivation is different for erecting the flag, would I feel different? I don't think so. I really genuinely don't think so. I'm not saying I'm for or against it because I'm not offended, right? So that doesn't mean it's okay. I want to hear from other people and the reasons as to why they might feel threatened or intimidated by it. There's lots of people that have moved here and have learned Irish and are probably very proud to be Irish, especially after they get their citizenship. Maybe they love to see the flags as well. I don't know. Help me understand more. 08660 25,000. I wonder what the Protestant community will make of the tricolour being erected in convoy. Again, just because you're from the Protestant community, it doesn't necessarily mean you're going to be offended by the tricolour. I mean, you are represented on that flag, aren't you? I worry that it will be taken the wrong way by people who travel in from over the border and could stir up past bad blood. Yeah, that's true. But, if I travelled to Belfast yesterday and Union Jacks everywhere. I don't think even the Union Jack represents Northern Ireland. If I'm not mistaken, but there's Union Jacks and flags flying everywhere up there, so I don't know, they've been doing that for years. Okay, let's take a break. Loads more coming up on the programme. Make sure to keep your views coming into us as well too. You know the numbers.
The county's #1 talk show, the 9 till noon show on Highland Radio.
It's time for Vision Ireland Bingo on Highland Radio.
It's Tuesday the 9th of September. You're playing on the brown sheet for the daily prize of €600. The reference number is S2. It's game number 37. The numbers are 39, 81, 66, 60, 38, 43, 74, 77, 50, and finally 88. Phone your claim to 910-4833 before midnight, leaving your name, contact number and the name of the shop where you purchased your book, and we'll call you back the next working day. Get all your Vision Ireland bingo information at highlandradio.com.
McGowan Hearing, your audiologist experts now in Letterkenny, Buncrana and Carndonagh. Book your free hearing aid consultation in our clinic or your home across the northwest and beyond with Dara McGowan on 07191 00208.
Indulge yourself with friends or a loved one at the Spa at Orchids at the Holyrood Hotel in Bundoran. A midweek or weekend spa break is the perfect way to escape from life for a while. Take a leisurely walk along the Atlantic coast. Enjoy a dip in our private pool, a plunge in our Canadian hot tub, and treatments of your choice before dining in one of the Holyrood Hotel's acclaimed restaurants. The Spa at Orchids. Book now at holyroodhotel.com.
This Wednesday, Highland Radio is hitting the road to celebrate Love Donegal Day. Join the adventure as we explore the heart of Donegal, showcasing some of its stunning locations. Tune in all day for a journey you won't forget and follow us on social media. Love Donegal Day, proudly brought to you by Donegal County Council. Together, we can share what makes Donegal special throughout the world by using hashtag Love Donegal and hashtag Dunanalabu across social media.
The 9 till noon show is brought to you by Letterkenny Credit Union, with monster loans available up to €60,000 for all occasions. Visit letterkennycu.ie. The Community Garda information slot is brought to you by Sheridan Security Systems, monitoring homes and businesses in the Northwest for intruder, fire, panic and medical signals. Call Sheridan Security on 91 26025.
Okie doke, it is Tuesday the 9th of September and 18 minutes past 10. It's time for this week's Community Garda information, and in studio with me is Garda Grania Doherty from the Letterkenny Garda Station. Grania, good morning to you. Thanks so much as always for calling up. Rightio, let's start with appeals and criminal damage in Raphoe, Grania.
Yeah, Garda are appealing for information in connection with this. It's an incident of criminal damage. It happened at William Street, Raphoe in the early hours of Sunday the 7th of September. It's believed to have occurred on around 1 a.m. that morning. A window at the front of a vacant premises at that location was smashed. So we're appealing to anybody who might have witnessed the incident to get in touch with Gardaí in Letterkenny on 9167100. If anybody was in the area of William Street with a dash cam around that time, we're asking them to make the footage available to us. And I'm aware that the Oak Fest was on over the course of those few days, so hopefully maybe even taxi drivers that may have been in the area with a dash cam, if they were, we'd ask them to come forward.
Yeah, another criminal damage incident a little earlier, this in Whitecross.
Yes, this incident occurred between 9 p.m. on Friday the 5th of September and 7 a.m. on Saturday the 6th of September in the area of Whitecross, Raphoe. A VMS sign, a variable message sign, that was at that location. It was there advertising a local event. It was sprayed with paint and a quantity of paint was thrown over it also. We're appealing to anybody who may have travelled at that location, the Lifford to Letterkenny Road, between those hours, and who may have witnessed this incident to make contact with Gardaí in Letterkenny on 9167100. And again, as with all of our incidents today, the Garda confidential line can be reached on 1800 666 111.
And just, I know we do it regularly, just a reminder, if someone wants to use the confidential line, you don't have to necessarily leave your name or anything, you just leave your tip. And then it's chased up. It's sent to the relevant Gardaí in the relevant areas.
Yes, when you call that number, you're automatically put through, similar to a voice messaging service.
Yeah.
You're put through, it's to a machine really. You're not even talking to a human being. You just leave whichever information you want. You don't have to leave your name or any personal details on there.
Okay, so that might be useful for some. Criminal damage, again, this time in St Johnston.
Yes, this incident happened on the Derry Road in St Johnston on Wednesday the 3rd of September in and around 4:50 p.m. So a man was at that location in his van, and a black Audi A4 pulled in behind him. 2 male occupants off the Audi got out. They approached his van, and one of them proceeded to strike the driver's side mirror of his van, causing it to smash. So we're appealing to anybody who might have travelled in that area with a dash cam between 4:30 p.m. and 5 p.m. to make that footage available to us. Again, if anybody witnessed the incident, we'd like to speak to them, and they can contact Gardaí in Letterkenny on 9167100.
Okay, to Ballybofey now.
Yes, another incident of criminal damage. This occurred at a shop at the main street, Ballybofey, between 9 p.m. on Saturday the 6th of September and 12:30 p.m. on Sunday the 7th. The front window of a shop was broken between those times, so we're appealing to anybody who may have been on the street, maybe particularly in the early hours of Sunday morning, who might have witnessed the incident, to contact Gardaí in Ballyshannon on 071 985 8530. If anybody again was on the street with a dash cam overnight and they believe that they might have captured anything of use to our investigation, we're asking them to contact us also.
All right, now we're going to theft next. Drumkeen.
Yes, a rather unusual one here. This theft incident occurred in the area of Trentaboy, Drumkeen, between 7 p.m. on Friday the 5th of September and 2 p.m. on Saturday the 6th of September. So a concrete garden table and 3 concrete benches were stolen from a garden at a house at that location between those times. We're appealing to anybody who might have observed any type of suspicious activity or vehicles in that area around those times to get in touch with Gardaí in Ballyshannon on 071 985 8530.
Yeah, I mean, quite distinctive. And potentially difficult to move.
Yeah, and hopefully somebody's seen something. You know, you would have had to have a van or a trailer or something with you to transport these items. And besides that, it would have taken quite a bit of time, really, to get them loaded up, and get them taken away.
Yeah, and keep your eyes out, too, if you ever see them, items that we discussed popping up, being advertised in any place or other. I'm not saying that's the motivation, but you never know. It might twig if you saw it when you're scanning, and that would be good information to pass on as well, because the Garda can find out whether or not it's a similar object or the object themselves. Right, this is news of an incident in Pettigo that serves also to as a bit of advice, I suppose, for people in general, particularly those in the farming community.
Yeah, so we wish to alert the public, and particularly the farming community, to an incident that occurred recently in the area of Pettigo. So a jeep that was parked up at a farmland in the area of Grouse Hall, Pettigo, on Saturday the 6th of September. A trailer was attached with a calf on board the trailer, and between 1:45pm and 2pm on that date, the jeep, which was a blue Toyota Hilux, it was stolen. The trailer containing the calf, it was abandoned a short distance down the road just over the border, and the stolen jeep was recovered also the following day in Northern Ireland. So we're appealing to anybody who may have travelled in the Grouse Hall or general Pettigo area on the 6th of September between 1pm and 2:30pm with a dash cam to make that footage available to investigating Gardaí. If anybody can assist with this, with relevant information, we're asking them to contact Gardaí in Ballyshannon on 071 985 8530. And just in relation to this incident, and we say it often on the show here, we're not in the business of finger pointing at victims or blaming anybody, proportioning any blame on them. But, we feel it's important just to make people aware that these types of incidents are taking place. The days of being able to leave your house door unlocked, or your car or your Jeep or your Trag, whatever it is, unlocked, those days are well and truly gone. Please ensure that your vehicle is locked when unattended, regardless of whether you have it parked at your back door, on your farm, in a field or in a car park in a public area. Lock it. Make sure it's locked when unattended. Never leave your keys in your vehicle. Don't make life easy for these opportunist thieves, and always report suspicious activity to Gardaí immediately. And just if anybody does wish to discuss farm or any type of security measures around their home or around their business, they can contact Sergeant Fergus McGrory, our Divisional Crime Prevention Officer, and he'll be happy to assist.
Yeah, and as you say, we hear about these instances all of the time, and it could be me, and I've said this before because I can be a bit laxy-daisy, but you only do it for the last time after you lose something then, don't you? And that's the whole point of what you're saying, is just for all of us try and ensure that you don't learn the lesson the hard way and then end up doing what we're talking about and making sure everything's locked and secure. It's good advice, I think. Right, a two-vehicle collision is the subject of the next appeal.
Yes, this is a bit of a re-appeal now. This one, it happened a while back. It happened on Saturday the 26th of July on the R244 in the area of Art, Glenealy, shortly after 3:30pm. So both vehicles involved were travelling from Glenealy towards Carndonagh when this collision occurred. The driver of one of those vehicles was taken to Letterkenny University Hospital to receive medical treatment, but no life-threatening injuries were sustained. We believe, we carried out inquiries since, and we now believe that there may have been a number of witnesses there at the scene, including a few motorcyclists who we have yet to speak to. So we're asking them, or anybody that witnessed this incident, to contact Gardaí in Buncrana on 9320540.
Yeah, okay. Now, we've got that reappeal. Garda scam. This is a scam, and it's abusing, really, I suppose, the seriousness of a Garda contact.
Yeah, and we did see scams in the past, Garda-related scams, where these criminals were impersonating Gardaí and sending out threatening emails, linked to that you've been a suspect in a sexual sort of crime or pornography or things like that. So this is actually quite a new one that came to light recently. So we've been made aware of this scam. So a person received a call from an Irish mobile number. The caller claimed to be a member of An Garda Síochána attached to the Garda Financial Intelligence Unit. The recipient of the call was informed that her bank account had been used in connection with a number of fraud offences across Europe. So over the course of a number of hours, the caller deceived the victim into setting up a crypto wallet. She transferred, unfortunately, a substantial amount of money from her account to this wallet. She then became suspicious and contacted us in Garda Síochána. So in this instance, criminals are impersonating a Garda Síochána in an attempt to steal money or personal information. Scammers typically contact victims by phone or email, falsely claiming to investigate a crime with a warrant for their arrest, or to inform them that their details have been linked to criminal activity, demanding payment or sensitive data like bank account details or PPS numbers. And as always, they create a sense of urgency, and panic in the person. We would just like to advise the public, and Garda Síochána will never contact you by phone, email or text to allege that you have committed a crime or to demand immediate payment for fines. Please never respond, don't click links, provide information or make payments if you receive this type of call or email. And if you have fallen victim to this or any type of scam, please alert your financial institution immediately and also report the matter to us. I actually received a call in Letterkenny Station yesterday evening from another lady who received this type of call yesterday. She's living in the local area here, and the call lasted 40 minutes. Now, luckily she didn't provide any type of personal information or banking details.
But time, aren't they?
But they did. She said that they persisted and they were quite threatening in their manner, and warned her not to hang up the phone and that they would track her down, and she was quite afraid. She was, she rang the station in a bit of a state, worried about it. But just
I wouldn't. If that happened to me, and we do a lot of this stuff, Grania, I would come off the call and I'd want to double check it wasn't real.
Yeah, well, that's exactly what happened.
Who does this all? That. You would think that I should have the knowledge and confidence to go, no, this is clearly a scam, but that would concern me, and I would want to try and find out ASAP if it was true or false, and that's why they're keeping that sense of urgency and keeping you on the phone to try and get you to, divulge some personal information or transfer money. And it's clever and it's horrible, and we just have to be aware and to let other people know who maybe don't listen to this item about that as well, if you're visiting relatives or what have you, just to say, listen, there's this latest scam that's going about.
Yeah, well, look, if anybody does receive a call like this or an email purporting to be from Garda Síochána, don't respond, hang up the call, contact, like the lady did yesterday, call your local Garda station and clarify with them.
Right, now, an awareness event coming up. Talk to me about this.
This is a senior service awareness event. These take place regularly enough down at Cara House in Letterkenny, and there's another one taking place on Monday the 15th of September. So Gardaí from the local community policing unit and Sergeant Fergus McGrory, her divisional crime prevention officer, will be there to issue advice on the day. And these types of events provide a fantastic opportunity for senior citizens just to find out more about the local services that are available to them in their area, and it's always a great day's crack. And we enjoy meeting all of our local senior citizens for a cuppa and a good chat. So everybody's very welcome to call in, and we look forward to seeing them on the day.
Brilliant stuff. And there is World Suicide Prevention Day coming up soon.
Yes, that's tomorrow actually, yeah. World Suicide Prevention Day takes place tomorrow, the 10th of September. So the theme this year is changing the narrative on suicide, and this theme calls on people, communities, organisations and government to foster open and honest conversations about suicide. So by initiating these vital conversations, we can break down barriers, raise awareness and create better cultures of understanding and support. And I think it's a good idea, even within workplaces, it's something that really isn't done often enough, to talk about this topic. So please visit hse.ie for information in relation to upcoming events. They have a number of events coming up to mark World Suicide Prevention Day in Donegal, and to read about also key messages and details of training that is available. And we're going to share all of the above and details of local support services that are available to our Facebook page later today. And I'm aware also, separate from the HSE events, Letterkenny CDP are holding an event at the Courtyard Shopping Centre tomorrow, September 10th, between 1 and 3 p.m. to mark the day. And a panel discussion will take place, and a memorial ceremony will also take place for loved ones lost to suicide. And just also finally on that topic, I'd like to say that anybody who is in distress and in need of assistance, they're very welcome at any time to call to any of our Garda stations. We'll happily provide a listening ear, make them a cup of tea, and we'll try our best to hear them out and to point them in the direction of a support service that can help them.
Okay, brilliant stuff. And the Garda play a significant role in dealing with people in that situation, and it's not always talked about, but I know you and your colleagues are very active and very, proactive in trying to help people. A quick question from last week, if that's okay. It reads as follows, Grania. Hi, Greg, could you ask today, I got a parking ticket, but the wrong address of where the offence happened is on the ticket. I appealed online, but no good. They never even asked my grounds for appealing, and it's an email with the no reply. They contacted me on thanks. So I don't know what they tried to do.
Yeah, well,
but anyway.
I'm going to presume just that it was a Garda issued ticket, because it's possible, it's possible that it may not have been issued by Garda Síochána, but just in this instant we'll presume that it was, yeah. So in order to dispute a Garda ticket, which is a fixed charge penalty notice, You must submit a fixed charge notice cancellation request form, and reading that, I presume that that's what they have done online. You go to garda.ie, that's where you find this form, or you can contact the fixed charge processing office by phone on 0818 50 60 80, or you can email them at npo@garda.ie. So the form and guidance notes are available on the garda.ie website. And just be mindful as well, when you wish to contest the speed limit, location, date or time of the offence or incorrect registration number, be advised that a minor discrepancy may not invalidate the notice. And be aware also that the payment deadlines for the fixed charge are not suspended while your request is being processed. That's an important one to keep in mind. Maybe for this caller, I see they said that they have appealed online and perhaps they have filled out this cancellation request form. So maybe the best thing for them to do would be to contact that phone number to follow up on the form that they submitted. 0818 50 60 80.
All right, listen, Granny, thank you very much indeed. It's been good to have you up again. And if you missed any of that or you want to listen back, maybe one of the dates or times or locations has triggered something in your mind, but you have to get home before you can check it out. You don't have to remember it all, of course. We'll have elements of that on our Highland Radio News website, of course, but also you can watch and listen back to the whole lot. Listen back on the podcast from 12:30 today on our website. Watch back on our socials, and also watch back a little later on today on the Garda Síochána Facebook page as well. The Donegal Garda Síochána and Donegal Facebook page as well. So that's it for now. We'll be back with another item, a Community Garda information item, next Tuesday after the 10 o'clock news.
Watch the show live now on YouTube, Facebook and at highlandradio.com. The 9 till noon show is brought to you by Letterkenny Credit Union, offering low-rate car loans with fast approval. Apply online at letterkennycu.ie or in office today.
If you're aged 59 to 70, we will invite you for a free HSE bowel screening home test. Screening can help find signs of bowel cancer early, before any symptoms show, making it easier to treat.
Attention all contractors and defective home contractors. National Fuels Letterkenny is now supplying Semcor cement. From a single bag for the DIY enthusiast to full pallet loads for contractors, all at very competitive prices. Call 074 91 37 400. National Fuels Letterkenny. Also available in our Churchill and Dunlow depots.
Join me, Marty Friel, every Friday night from 8 for Rockin' Hits on Highland Radio in association with Arena 7. Enjoy Laser Quest, soft play, darts or a game of pool before dining in their fast food diner or family restaurant. See arena7.ie.
This week only, get a free upgrade to Loganair's Fly Flex Fare. Enjoy a larger 23-kilo hold luggage allowance, increased change flexibility, and collect more Avios, all at no extra cost. T's and C's and exclusions apply. Book by 9th July, travel from 1st August. Booking changes may incur additional fees. Book today at loganair.co.uk.
At Charlie's in Letterkenny, they've been serving great food since 1984 to sit in and take away. Everything at Charlie's is cooked to order, so if you're having an all-day breakfast, a burger, or their renowned fish and chips, you'll know they've been freshly prepared. And there's a great selection of gluten-free options. Charlie's, in the heart of Letterkenny, open Tuesday to Saturday from 12 to 8, and for breakfast on Fridays from 9, on the Pierce Road. When the hunger hits, pull into Charlie's.
It's Patrick Feeney here, and I'm looking forward to the Highland Radio Country Music Weekend at the Clanry Hotel in Letterkenny this October the 31st and November the 1st. I'll be on stage along with Michael English, David James, Stacey Breen and Jordan McFadden. It's going to be 2 fantastic nights of music and dancing, but spaces are filling fast, so book now at theclanryhotel.com or highlandradio.com.
Don't delay when you get your bowel screening invitation. Call us today on 1800 45 45 55 or visit bowelscreen.ie. From the HSE.
Now, very pleased to welcome into studio the Right Reverend Dr. Trevor Gribben, who's a Presbyterian moderator. Thank you so much for taking time out of your busy agenda to pop up for a chat. How are you keeping?
I'm doing really well, Greg. I'm just up in the northwest for a week. I started on Sunday, and I'm visiting our presbytery, which we call Derry and Strabane, which straddles the border. Derry and Donegal straddles the border and includes the whole of the county Donegal. So great to be at Highland Radio, which I know is a bit of an institution here in this county.
Just a bit.
Just a bit.
Presbyterian moderator, what is your role within the church?
Well, the Presbyterian Church is about 500 congregations across the island. We're an all-Ireland church, both north and south. And the moderator is a bit like the senior sort of figurehead leader of the church for a year. No moderator is allowed to get too proud. We only let the person do the job for a year. You start in June, you do it the next June. Most people come from a parish church to be moderator. I happen to be General Secretary of the church, working our central leadership team. So I'm doing that for a year. I chaired our General Assembly, our big decision-making meeting. And then I spend the year visiting Presbyterian congregations and communities across this island. I was also overseas in Malawi visiting the Presbyterian church there. And we've 19 presbyteries, and we visit 4 a year. So Derry and Donegal is my first visit. I'm a wee bit coming back home.
I could hear that.
Yeah,
Okay.
well, I'm a County Armagh man originally, but I had 7 years of my ministry was in Lake Patrick in Ardee Garvan, just outside Strabane, and would have been very familiar with our churches in Inishowen in those days, Maville, Greenbank, Crandona, Malin, and all around Rafo, and that bit of Donegal I knew quite well. So it's been lovely to come back home and staying up for the week and seeing some of the beautiful countryside. And the sun hasn't stopped shining since I came.
It's been wonderful. Yeah. How would you frame the condition status? I don't know what the correct terminology is, but where the Presbyterian Church sits now, sort of in terms of its size, its strength, its level of involvement with its parishioners, the demographic. Are we seeing young people coming to church, or how would you frame it?
Well, across the whole island, it's fair to say probably the numbers in Presbyterian churches, like every other church, are lower than they used to be. But we're still strong, vibrant congregations. Yeah. In this area, particularly in Donegal, our congregations are part of local communities. They've been there for centuries. Most people, when they drive past, will see the buildings. They mightn't have been inside them, but those communities are there. Some of them are rural farming communities. Some, like here in Letterkenny, has known some growth. It's reaching out to new Irish, to use that phrase. And some of our congregations, both north and south of the border, have been enriched by people coming to live in amongst us and becoming part of our church families. But churches are a bit smaller, but their influence is still there. I'm visiting some of the churches in County Donegal this week, and I've been interested just to hear already about the community initiatives, the children's work that's going on, congregations seeking to reach out and show the love of Jesus in practical ways, as well as declare his word.
How do churches, will generally sort of reach and engage younger people? Because there might come a time where there's a very, very major crisis. Who's to say? And all the churches will be packed because, if we're instantly faced with a catastrophe or our own mortality or something, the churches is often one of the first places we go to. But outside of that, how do we, engage more young people in a life of faith?
Well, look, to be really frank, some of our churches, and this is probably all denominations.
Yeah, well, it was an all denomination question.
Well, we do need to change a bit with the times. Sometimes our services in Presbyterianism, we're great hymn singing and psalm singing people, but sometimes we're singing hymns and psalms that are written 200-300 years ago. To tunes that are written 100 years ago. No, they're not bad because of that. So many of our congregations are bringing in newer worship styles. We used to have organs a lot. We still have organs in some of our churches, but in some of our churches, particularly some of our town and city churches, we've now music groups playing.
Yeah, but change and adaptation it's been happening for centuries. It's not something that's happening instantly right now in some sort of a panic mode. Not all, but there's been quite a lot of evolution and change and tweaking throughout many centuries, I'm sure.
Yeah,
I mean, some obviously are more loyal maybe to the original history, but you have to adapt, don't you?
Yeah, you really have to adapt. There is an unchangeable message of the gospel,
of course,
of what Jesus Christ has come to do for us, and the love He reaches out to us, and the salvation that's possible through faith in Him. But that's communicated in all different ways. Like loads of the young people I meet with who are involved in our churches, their Bible's on their phones now, and their Bible reading apps or bringing up a passage to read each day to help them in their own individual quiet time. I preach myself now, although I'm no longer young, but I use PowerPoint in my church services. I use video. Indeed, I was preaching in one of our churches in Donamana in County Tyrone on Sunday morning. I'm in Donaghmore next Sunday morning. And I will use visual aids. I'll use all kinds of things to try to communicate to the new generation.
Because you want to be fully inclusive, but if you have a core that's very traditional, you don't want to sort of make them feel not unwelcome, but less relevant. So it's a tough balancing act.
Yeah, and that's it. That's a challenge. But look, when people genuinely love the Lord Jesus and they genuinely want to be part of a community sharing faith, people will. I see churches now which have changed in their style in worship. And the older people are simply delighted to see more children, young people coming. So there's a cost to everything. Yeah. And look, life isn't life about accommodating each other? And that's true in the church as well.
It's also a wonderful opportunity for you, I'm sure, to meet with and thank and praise those that keep the infrastructure going. Our beautiful buildings that are kept to a T, the people that are in opening or closing or maintaining and the grounds of the churches and what have you. The real grafters, so to speak. It's nice in your position of Presbyterian moderator to come up and look these people in their eye and shake their hands and praise them for the incredibly important work they're doing.
And I want to do that. I just want to encourage people. Every moderator gets to pick a theme for the year, and mine's based on one of the Old Testament prophets, Jeremiah, chapter 29. And he tells this to God's people. He says, look, settle down, build houses, get into the community, get involved, work for the peace and the good of the city or the community you're placed in. And I want to say this to loads of our people across Ireland, but across Donegal, particularly this week. I want to say thank you for working for the good, not just of your congregation, but the community you're in. Thank you for those parent and toddler groups, those meals for pensioners. Thank you for that children's work you're providing. It's open to all people to come. Thank you for being part of the community in the name of Jesus Christ and doing that. Thank you for the hard work. But I want to say more than that. I want to say to people in civic society, thank you for what you're doing. So yesterday, I visited Nelton Galvin Hospital and I visited the McGee campus of the university. Amazing to see the new cancer unit at Alton Galvin, which is also serving Donegal. Amazing, wonderful to see that cross-border work and that cross-community work in that sense. I'm going to be in Letterkenny later. I'm going to be visiting schools, national schools in Donaghmore and Convoy. I'm going to Ruffo and Prior. I'm going to visit, hopefully, the police in Letterkenny. I want to say thank you for what you're doing. Because, look, when we all work together in partnership to make our communities a better place, it helps all of us. Doesn't mean there are no problems. I was listening to your Garda report just before I came in. There are problems in every community. But I want to say thank you for those who are making a difference in the church and in the community.
Yeah, you talked about increased cross-border cooperation in terms of health and what have you, and of course even the councils now continuing to build and strong relationships that benefit both areas. Presbyterian Church has been doing this up here for ages. Is it almost unique, the cross-border sort of element to the church here?
Well,
in terms of the area straggling the border, so
well,
to speak.
yeah. Well, we are an All Ireland church.
Of course,
our Monaghan Presbytery as well has churches in the north. Our Newry Presbytery, which is a Northern Presbytery, has some churches in Monaghan as well. But yes, Derry and Donegal Presbytery is quite unique. That half our churches are in Donegal and half are around Derry area and down to Strabane. And that poses challenges. There are two different currencies, there are two different tax regimes, there's different charity. One's a Charity Regulatory Authority in Dublin, one's a Charity Commission based in Belfast in Northern Ireland. That presents challenges, but those are creative challenges. And one of the great things is in this community, way back when I was up here, I left this area 30 years ago, that cooperation between Presbyterian congregations north and south, I'm not saying anything political here, but it blurs a border. You know, if you're sick and your nearest hospital is out in the Galvin and you need to go there, you need to go there. You know, if you're living somewhere in the north and you want to go to, I'll not name any particular shops, but the great shops in Ballybofey and do some shopping, you will go and they'll provide a service for your community. And in this area, thank God, literally thank God, those dark days.
Well, the closer you get to the border, and particularly post-Troubles, the closer you get to the border, the more invisible it becomes.
It is.
If the truth be told. Is there, probably should ask this at the beginning because I don't want it to be negative, and maybe the answer isn't negative, but the Presbyterian congregation, where do they feel in society? Visible, part of it, somewhat forgotten, underrepresented, perfect level of representation?
Look, if you take that across the state, I think it differs. When partition came, I think there were a lot of folk in Donegal from a Protestant background who felt, in a sense, left behind,
landlocked or something.
When they weren't part of this new northern state, and that was probably the same round Monaghan Cavan direction. I think that sense has gone.
Good, yeah.
The vast majority of people I meet in Monaghan, Cavan, in Donegal are Irish. They're Presbyterians and they're still very proud of that Presbyterians. They maybe have links back to a unionist, the background. They're maybe in the Orange Order still, which has a symbolism in some of the border counties, north and south. But I think they have integrated into the society.
It's the conversation now is no longer Protestant, Catholic or green and gold, because the country is a much more diverse country. In political terms, the Alliance Party growing in popularity. You know what I mean? It's the country that it was then and the country it is now. There's far more players on the pitch, if you know what I mean. So maybe that's helped in.
And look, one of the things churches have to do, and all churches have to do this, is we have to say very clearly our first loyalty is not to any nation or flag, it is to Jesus Christ and his kingdom. And therefore there are kingdom values. And sometimes we have to say in all our communities, because we have kingdom values and we follow Christ's teaching, no, that is wrong. There was never any justification for murder and violence for any cause, for Irishness or Britishness. There never was. That was wrong. There are ways of finding accommodations and moving forward together. I met last week, along with other church leaders, with the Taoiseach, and we hope to meet him again to talk about his Shared Island Initiative. Now, you could say that maybe as a political dimension, maybe as an all-Ireland unity dimension. It also has lots of good dimensions. We are in one island, and we have to share this island. Reconciliation is not just a fancy word that ministers and politicians use. It is reality.
Yeah.
It is working together. And we've challenged in this Ireland today in reconciliation and peacemaking with new Irish people coming amongst us. North and south of the border, we have, sadly, rising racism. People used to talk in the north, it was sectarianism. Sadly, racism is coming to the fore.
Are you very comfortable calling it that? Is it not nationalism? Is it not, and I'm not challenging you for a second, but is it not nationalism? Is it not the protection of culture and services as some might frame it? Or is it, because there'll be quite a pushback to you using that word.
Yeah, and I know sometimes there is. It is interesting, and I live and work in Northern Ireland. I live in Carrickfergus, and my office is in Belfast, so I tend to be northern focused. Although I'm a moderator for an all-Ireland church.
Yeah.
Sometimes in Northern Ireland, and I know in Dublin as well, when people come in from other communities, and when white South Africans come in their droves, at sometimes in bits of Dublin and bits of Northern Ireland, it didn't create the tension that when people of a different colour come in. And that is sad. And we met in Dublin, that meeting with the Taoiseach. There were representatives of other faiths there. There were Christians who were from African churches. There were people from an Islamic background who were coloured in skins. And they are feeling shunned because of the colour of their skin. That is racism, pure and simple. Now, that does not mean that everyone who is protesting or everyone who feels that their hospital places are being taken up by other people or their social housing isn't available to them or there's no spaces in their schools and their community, that does not mean those people are racist. Many of those people have legitimate concerns. North and south of the border, the governments haven't built enough social housing. Our health services, north and south of the border, are not as they should be. But we cannot blame that on new people coming in amongst us. Some of those people are fleeing literally for their lives. We have churches north and south of the border who have new Irish coming into them. We have people who are coming into our churches from Iran who've had to leave because they've converted to Christianity and they would have been killed if they'd stayed. And they're serving our churches. Once they get right to remain, they're working, they're paying taxes, they're fully part of community. If those people feel unwelcome and they're discriminated against because of the colour of their skin, that is racism. But there is also legitimate protest, and we can't label that racist.
Yes, I get you. You're going to need a holiday after this because you've an awful lot of meetings. Some of them have already taken place, others haven't. Meeting with leaders of other churches. You mentioned on Garda Síochána, the police, schools, of course, too. And we really appreciate you sparing the time to come in and have a little chat with us.
Yeah, can I say one thing before I go? Maybe you're not finishing, but I want to say one thing. I want to say thank you to Highland Radio, not just because I'm sitting in Highland Radio, because I know in Donegal from friends who work here, people I know who live here, just how significant Highland Radio is and your community focus. And I also want to thank you and thank him publicly today for 25 years for the Reverend Jim Lamont, who's been part of your airwaves. I remember, Jim, when I was a young student for the ministry, Jim was in charge of the body that selected people for the ministry. And I remember a talk he did in our college at that selection school of reaching out and looking at the community around you and seeking to serve it. Jim, in retirement, has done that. And for 25 years, he's been on the airway in his Travelling with God programme on your airwaves. And I want to say today, publicly, thank you, Jim, but I also want to say thank you, Highland Radio, for including that programme, which I know is listened to. And Jim is, look, if Protestants had a saint, Jim would be made a saint because he is a great listener. So thank you as a radio station for doing that. And I hope that slot in some way will continue, and I hope colleagues will be talking to you about how it might continue.
Look, we're of the community, and the community is all different people.
Yeah, but the community is also about people stepping up and being willing to do things. And I'll not reveal Jim's age because maybe we'll meet him sometime, and I don't want to get into trouble with him. But Jim, well into his retirement, has done that programme because it's been a service. I know the books he's published have been used to help the hospice. He has just had a heart for that. And when I'm on your station today, I just want to say thank you, Jim, but thank you also to your station for doing that.
But it's a great listen, though.
Yeah.
It shows a great listen, which is always very, very good from a radio perspective. Yeah. Thank you so very much, Reverend, for calling in to us. You've got, June, July, August, September, you've still got an awful lot of work to do as in your tenure as Presbyterian moderator. Is it a one and done, or could you do this again down the line?
No, you do it once.
So it's very, very significant, a great honour.
It's a big year, yep. They give me an honorary doctorate. I'm a doctor, but if you're sick, don't come to me. I'll be of no help to you. And I got it not because in any way I studied and wrote any thesis, but university gave me an honorary doctorate to acknowledge that year. And it's a great honour and a great opportunity to be out and about, say thank you to people, thank you to communities, and to share the love of Jesus.
And I'm sure on behalf of the Presbyterian community, but all the community as well, we're all we're all under the one sky, aren't we? Thank you. Right Reverend Dr. Trevor Gribben, the Presbyterian moderator. Been lovely having you on.
Thank you.
The 9 till noon show with Letterkenny Credit Union. Simplify your debts with a debt consolidation loan from Letterkenny Credit Union. Call us on 074 910 2126 or apply online via our app or in office today.
Your specialty is quality tiles, bathroom suites and wooden floors. Who has the best range of tiles in Donegal?
Crawford Tiles.
The best wood flooring?
Crawford Tiles.
The best bathroom suites?
Crawford Tiles.
5-day bathroom refits?
Crawford Tiles.
And who's been tampering with my questions?
That'll be me.
Crawford Tiles, Castlefin. That'll be them. 07491 43942.
Hello, Jedward speaking. Sorry, Edward speaking.
Hey bro, I'm glad you picked up.
Who is this?
It's me, John. I'm literally outside in the landing.
I don't know any Sean. Lose my number. Hello?
Edward, don't hang up. I'm sorry for saying a handyman could fix the gas boiler. Please forgive.
Always use a registered gas installer, or you could risk everything. Find one at rgi.ie.
Sometimes it's just bad luck, but sometimes it's negligence. From minor bumps to life-changing injury, every accident has a story. Time to call McElhenney and Associates. They'll assess the situation, advise on solutions, and lead the way if any litigation is to follow. From motor accidents and workplace accidents to slips, trips and falls, call today on 074 917 5989 or find us online. Let's get you started on the road to recovery. McElhenney and Associates Solicitors, Stranorlar. How can we help? In contentious business, a solicitor may not calculate fees or other charges as a percentage or proportion of any award or settlement.
The search for the right mortgage isn't easy, but it's always better with PTSB. So whether you're buying, building or moving, you'll get a team of your own to help you find the right rate. With dedicated options for energy-efficient homes and an online portal to track every stage of your application, start your mortgage search with PTSB. Apply online today. PTSB. Altogether more human. Lending criteria, terms and conditions apply. Over 18s only. Security and insurance is required. Permanent TSB PLC trading as PTSB is regulated by the Central Bank of Ireland.
Highland Radio weather updates brought to you by McElhenney's. With new season styles arriving daily, discover the latest fashion, footwear and accessories for autumn in store or shop online at mcelhenneys.com today.
So, mostly cloudy today with scattered outbreaks of mostly light rain and drizzle. The rain and drizzle will gradually clear later in the afternoon and evening with some scattered showers to follow and perhaps a few limited bright or sunny spells. Temperatures of 15 to 17 degrees. It'll be breezy though with moderate to fresh and occasionally gusty southeasterly winds.
With all the stories that matter across the Northwest, it's Greg Hughes on the 9 to Noon Show on Highland Radio.
And it's just turned 11 o'clock. Let's get a news update and welcome back into studio, Michaela Clark.
Thanks, Greg. Good morning. The European Parliament has been told that the defective concrete block crisis is a clear and present danger to thousands of men, women and children living in Donegal. Midlands North West MEP Kieran Mullooly says the issue is not just about bricks and mortar and faulty regulations. He's warned that the European Commission must act to save lives. The Fianna Fáil presidential candidate hopefuls have arrived at Leinster House ahead of the party's nomination vote. Former Dublin football manager Jim Gavin and MEP Billy Kelleher will make their final pitch to parliamentary members within the next hour. Jim Gavin is said to be the favourite, with 30 members publicly backing him. Meanwhile, presidential candidate Catherine Connolly will visit Donegal this week. The independent TD says she's looking forward to meeting and engaging with local communities and acknowledges that Donegal is a county that acutely faces the same challenges as the rest of the country, such as the housing crisis, inadequate healthcare services and a chronic lack of infrastructure. Social media companies could immediately make the internet a safer place if they wanted to. That's according to the Taoiseach after multiple threats were made against his family over the past week. Simon Harris says Garda have to be wary of deploying 20th century policing on a 21st century problem. A founding member of the Donegal Society for the Prevention of Cruelty to Animals says it's deeply concerning that the ISPCA has closed its facility in Ballyar ahead of a takeover by the Dublin SPCA. Kathy Murray believes the building should be handed back to the Donegal Group, who developed the building before it was handed over to the ISPCA, on the understanding that it would be kept for animals in need in the county. Garda and Donegal are warning that the days of being able to leave house or vehicle doors unlocked has well and truly gone. It's after a blue Toyota Hilux with a trailer attached and a calf on board was stolen from farmland in the area of Grouse Hall, Pettico on Saturday last between 1:45 and 2 p.m. The trailer and calf were later found abandoned a short distance across the border, and the stolen jeep recovered the following day in Northern Ireland. A new report shows the rising cost of housing is pushing more families into poverty. The study by the ESRI, published in partnership with Community Foundation Ireland, found child poverty rates are at similar levels to during the financial crisis once housing costs are taken into account. Gardaí have reissued an appeal for information on a crash which occurred earlier this year. They believe there may have been a number of witnesses, including motorcyclists, that they have yet to speak to regarding the two-vehicle collision at Urt Glenealy shortly after 3:30 p.m. on Saturday, July the 26th. Anyone with information is urged to contact Gardaí in Buncrana. And oyster fishing has been suspended in the Foyle area. The chief executive of the Lochs Agency says the move is necessary and expedient for the conservation and protection of native oysters. Those are the latest headlines. We'll be back with an update again at 12 noon.
Michaela, thanks so much.
The 9 till noon show is brought to you by Letterkenny Credit Union. Digital loans now available. Apply online or via our app today and get your loan transferred directly to your current account.
Get ready for the Donegal League at Brian McCormick Sports. BMC teamwear, mitre training or match balls. View the value packs online at bmcsports.ie. Training equipment, water bottles, have them delivered or call in store. Brian McCormick Sports, sponsor of Donegal League Premier Division.
Here, would you look at Eco Enda? He's only after going and getting himself one of the new Skoda EVs.
First he went vegan, then he got solar panels, now this.
I'm sure he'd buy anything as long as he can get a grant for it.
Must be from that county beside Monaghan.
The new fully electric Skoda range. The kind of cars that get the neighbours talking. But only if you're quick. Check availability at skoda.ie. Skoda, let's explore.
Skoda. Your local Skoda dealer is DMG Motors, Clar Road, Donegal Town. Telephone 074 9721 396.
It's Patrick Feeney here, and I'm looking forward to the Highland Radio Country Music Weekend at the Clanry Hotel in Letterkenny this October the 31st and November the 1st. I'll be on stage along with Michael English, David James, Stacey Breen and Jordan McFadden. It's going to be 2 fantastic nights of music and dancing, but spaces are filling fast, so book now at theclanryhotel.com or highlandradio.com.
Fancy fish tacos tonight? You'll catch some amazing prices at Aldi, that's for sure. The finest Irish breaded haddock goujons are just $2.99. Sour cream at just 89 cents. Mixed chilies only 49 cents. And 8 mini white tortilla wraps are just 85 cents. That's an evening treat at amazing Aldi value, all wrapped up. Good food, good mood from Aldi, while stocks last.
Okay, you're very welcome back and into the third hour of the 9 till noon show here in Highland Radio. I'm joined on the programme now by Cathal McGlynn, who's a local member of CATU. It's the Community Action Tenants Union. Good morning to you, Cathal. Thanks so much for your time today.
Imagine why that's Greg. Thanks for having me on here.
What is CATU?
Well, basically, CATU Ireland, CATU is a union for communities and tenants. You know, it's a union that represents people that are renting. So people renting properties, council tenants, mortgage holders, and people that are living in like emergency and precarious living situations. So CATU just basically a union for people that are renting properties and for mortgage holders and stuff.
And what is the work that CATU does versus, say, the Rental Tenancies Board?
Well, basically, CATU it's the idea of CATU is pretty simple. It's a union for people. We're all aware of all work, people in workplaces that need to be the importance of them being involved with unions. So this is basically a union that's outside of the workplace. It takes the union from where people work to where people live. It's a basic idea of membership, collective direct action, and grassroots democracy, and gives people support in a union and representation by a union also, Greg.
Okay, interesting. And what kind of cases are you helping people with? Is there an example or examples that you can give us?
Well, we'd all be aware of, obviously the housing crisis is the largest issue that's facing us in the country at the minute. So, we deal with a lot of tenants that are facing rising, skyrocketing rents. The likes of the lack of social housing, people that are in rental properties that are dealing with landlords that need maintenance done to the properties, and landlords are refusing to maintain the properties. Perhaps tenants that are living in houses that are damp or mouldy, that are affecting their health and their mental health, and that's so we help and support tenants.
And what kind of sort of tools are at your disposal? Say for instance, if a member feels that they're being squeezed out with rent increases, or the landlord is refusing to come and address that black mold in the children's bedroom, like what can CATU do, or actual supports can it give to try and resolve these issues?
We believe in strength in numbers, Greg, and that's the method of the union. If a person is trying to take something on as an individual, or trying to deal with a landlord, well, then they have that difficulty that they are only an individual. Where if they come on board, CATU has 2,500 members approximately nationwide, all across the 32 counties of Ireland. So we are a 32 county organisation. So we would provide support, mediation, and try and engage and deal with the landlords as a union, rather than that just individual person having to deal with them themselves. So we provide that strength and support, and also the knowledge, and provide the tenants with knowledge as towards their rights as a tenant, and how they can deal with these matters. We can provide mediation, or help deal maybe with the landlords directly ourselves as a union, through emailing or letter writing or phone calls to the landlord. So basically providing support and education to tenants.
Is there a lobbying role with CATU as well? Because I note there is a meeting coming up and a workshop that's talking generally about the housing crisis that we are in, and I presume there'll be some reference to the amount of homes that are being built in the state as well. So is that part of CATU's role?
Well, the workshop that we're providing at the weekend, Greg, it's the first workshop that we're holding in Donegal. It's in Letterkenny Library this Saturday from 12 o'clock to 2 o'clock. So we're just asking people, or anybody who's interested in CATU or what CATU provides, to come along to the workshop. Basically, we're going to be sitting down and just talking about the issues that are facing people in the locality, so that we can try and get a picture of those issues and try and help people maybe to deal with those issues. We'd also be, looking for people that are interested to possibly come on board and look about becoming members of CATU on the day there as well, Greg.
Yeah, as you say, 12 to 2 p.m, the 13th of September, the Central Library. Everyone's welcome, I presume.
That's correct. We're just inviting everybody welcome. We provide support. We have a large range of membership all across the county, or all across the country. So as I was saying earlier, we deal with people that are renting, tenants and properties. We deal with council tenants. Our membership consists of people in housing agencies, mortgage holders, because we're aware that a lot of mortgage holders these days are having to deal with vulture funds, and we deal with we have a large membership from the traveller community, people that are homeless, and also those people, unfortunate people that are living in IPAS centres as well. So we've membership from a large demographic all over the country, Greg.
Do you find that there are particular issues for, like, I'm thinking, you say council tenants, like I am aware of lots of council tenants who don't believe their houses are safe. They're suffering health issues as a result of their homes having been built with defective concrete blocks. And even though you would imagine they could almost be in an advantageous position being in local authority homes, but there's no scheme for them. There's no timelines for them. I think 80 odd people have been moved out of houses, with thousands others, or certainly hundreds others, wondering when they might be gotten around to.
Well, absolutely. You know, we're all aware of the defective blocks situation, an awful situation in the county. And we're open to dealing with anybody that wants to come on board as members or that wants to approach us looking for help. As I said, we're only newly set up the Donegal branch in the county. So we're aware that there's a lot of groups that are already on the ground that are dealing with these issues.
Understood, yeah.
And,
I know you're not specific to one area. Yeah. It's just often sometimes you're going to get a trend of inquiries given whatever's pertaining in any particular area. But I do understand that you're not a defective concrete block campaign group either.
No, absolutely not. But we would like to tie in with those organisations that have been working very, very hard on the ground, and also with local councillors and that are working hard for the defective block groups. So we would hope to be tying in with them and see what kind of help we can offer to anybody there.
All right, 12-2, and it is pronounced CATU, is it?
CATU is correct.
CATU,
the
okay.
Community Action and Tenants Union. So basically, as I was saying, we take on membership from all of those areas: the renters, council tenants, housing agencies, mortgage holders, people from the travelling community, the homeless. So the only people that cannot join CATU are those that have that directly profit from commodification or from housing or communities. So basically, if you're not a landlord or somebody who makes profit from property or carries out evictions, then CATU is there as a union to help and support you.
All right, listen, thanks very much indeed. Look after yourself. Cathal McGlynn there. He is a local member of CATU. They seem to be establishing here, CATU Ireland, and it's the Donegal branch. If you're interested in that, Central Library, Letterkenny, the 13th of September between noon and 2 p.m. And they say that everyone, with the caveats that you heard there, is welcome. Thank you, Greg, for your interview with the moderator of the Presbyterian Church. I listen to the Reverend Jim Lamont every 2 weeks. He's such an excellent preacher and a man of God. We need more like him to bring the message to us. Thank you, Greg. Love your show. Regards, Paula Ryle. And I'm delighted that, I don't know if it were us, we that reached out today or they to us, but the more inclusive this programme is of everyone, the better for me anyway, so that everyone feels, if you're a member of the community, that you are heard as well. Someone mentioned about the traffic being terrible in Letterkenny this morning at 9:10. A caller says the traffic's the same at 4 o'clock in Letterkenny. On the flags issue, why don't they go to the big cities and put the flags up, not put them up in wee villages in the dark of night? Though there are people now posting videos of them erecting these flags, and very proud to be doing so. I was watching the Ireland game on Saturday and I noticed that there was a lack of Ireland flags compared to past games. Maybe they're all up lampposts. A caller says, that is very true. The government have made the flag a political symbol, and that is why a lot of people are not flying it. The tricolour doesn't belong to this government. They have betrayed it. Well, whether or not they have betrayed it, I think you may be referencing something I said, and it's about our long-term relationship with our flag, that it has to mean something. There has to be a sporting event, or it has to be St. Patrick's Day, or we have to be proud about something. And we're at a point now where if you raise the flag, your motivation could be questioned. So, I mean, would I put, so the point is, right, what I'm trying to get at here, and I want to phrase this, I'm not in the debate as to why, but now the motivation for flag flying is in question. So we're at a point now that if I stuck a flag out my window at home and left it there, some people might say, well, he's very proud to be Irish and that's fine. Others might go, well, he's a nationalist, or he's anti-this, or he's anti-that. That's what the flag has become, and I don't think that's helpful for anyone, that you're effectively, you could be labelled as having certain political views if you simply flew the flag. Is that the case in any other country, or is that our history? Is that our reality? Because it does feel a bit weird, if that makes sense. And I'd love to have that conversation, but why would I have to think twice about my motivation for flying the national flag at home? How I might be perceived, people questioning my motivation. It's an interesting conversation. A caller says, if you're born in Ireland, you're Irish. If you have an Irish passport, you're Irish, no matter your colour or religion. But Irish is pride in Ireland too. It's in your heart. Some of the most proud people, Irish people, are those that have gotten their citizenship. And they might not find the flag offensive at all. I just feel sometimes we're speaking on behalf of people rather than actually hearing from people themselves. So are people feeling intimidated? Who are the people that are feeling intimidated? And, rather than people claiming that people are feeling intimidated, I'm not saying they're not, but, I would love just to have a conversation whereby it's two people sort of having a debate about another group of people. And I don't know what that group of people think. And I'm presume there's a whole spectrum of thoughts within that group. But it's all feels like our flag has become incredibly pointed and political, and it feels a wee bit, would you be ashamed to buy one?
The 9 till noon show with Letterkenny Credit Union, now offering mortgages from €40,000 to €600,000 with no hidden fees or transaction charges. Letterkenny Credit Union, 9102127.
Attention students, TFI Local Link bus services, available nationwide, can connect you to a wide range of colleges all year round. Save up to 50% on cash fares when you use your TFI Young Adult or Student Leap Card. For route and timetable information, visit transportforireland.ie. We're Transport for Ireland. We're Transport for you.
Big wins deserve big moments, and we've got the perfect way to celebrate with our great selection of medals and trophies at Michael Murphy Sports, the Northwest leader in sport and training equipment for clubs and schools. Contact us today by emailing info@michaelmurphysports.ie or call 9128268.
For the biggest names in perfumes and aftershaves, visit McGee's Chemist Letterkenny. Dior, Armani and Hugo Boss, Victor and Rolf, Marc Jacobs and Lancôme. Also Gucci, Yves Saint Laurent, Prada and many more. From timeless classics to celebrity favourites, there's a perfume or aftershave for everyone at McGee's Chemist Letterkenny and online at mcgees.ie.
At Foy's in Ballybuffet and Letterkenny, we're much more than a furniture store. We're your style destination. From elegant sofas to eye-catching lighting, luxurious beds to statement wall art, we offer the largest range of quality furniture and home decor in the Northwest. Every piece is selected for quality, comfort and timeless design. Check out our socials for exclusive offers and inspiration. Foy's, where great interiors begin.
Highland Radio Time Checks brought to you by EirGrid, the operator and developer of Ireland's electricity grid. EirGrid, powering up communities, powering up Ireland. The time is...
It's 11:19. We welcome onto the show now the Chief Executive Officer of On Commission Toyacon, Art O'Leary. Good morning to you. Thank you so much for your time today.
Morning, Greg. Great pleasure to be here with you again.
Now, we have been trying to sort of get the final field, the runners and riders, so to speak, for the presidential election. We're not going to talk about that. We're going to talk about, I suppose, people exercising their hard-fought right to run. So, I suppose, in terms of a presidential election, who can vote?
Well, it's very straightforward, and I'm also quite relieved not to be talking about the runners and riders. I mean, myself and my colleagues at An Commission Toyacon are very relieved that we don't really mind about the candidates. Our focus is entirely on voters, and particularly people who don't vote, non-voters too. So, first things first, the people who are eligible to vote are Irish citizens. You must be over 18, you must be resident in the state, and you must be on the electoral register. It's very straightforward. So our big ask today, Greg, if I can, is to ask your listeners just to pop on to checktheregister.ie just to make sure that all the details we have for them are correct. And if you're a new voter, go and sign up. It's really, really simple. It takes less than 3 minutes. So in the time this morning that you're waiting for the kettle to boil for your cup of coffee or cup of tea, you can go and register to vote. All you need is your name, your address, your PPS number, and your air code, date of birth, and you're good to go.
In the formal sense, what is the role of president? What are people being asked to vote on?
The president is our head of state. I was fortunate in a previous life in my career to have spent 7 years as Secretary General to the President in Áras an Uachtaráin. So I got a very upfront and close look at the role and duties of the president. So they're detailed in Articles 12 to 14 of the Constitution. They're the formal roles. He signs legislation. He represents Ireland at home as abroad as our first citizen. He makes many appointments on the advice of government, including appointments to the courts, our Supreme Court judges, High Court judges, all the superior courts. He appoints commissioned officers in the army. There's a long roll of things that the president does. But he also has his own or her own agenda as well. You know, that in my first year in Orsa Uachtaráin, I did 500 separate events with the president. You know, it's an extraordinarily busy role. The president gets a couple of hundred invitations a week for him to go and do all kinds of things, you know, to visit communities and schools and take part in various activities. So it's an extraordinarily busy role.
So in terms of the actual role, the likes of appointing members of government, judges, other officials, accepting resignations or appointments of any member of government on the advice of the Taoiseach, you know, how much latitude does a president have in terms of, you know, what is expected of them, or perhaps powers that they have that they don't often invoke? Because that's forming a lot of the conversation too. I think some people are being, you know, given a false representation of precisely what a president can and can't do. We can't go through it all, right? But maybe you get a sense of my question and that might frame your answer.
Yeah, I mean, there is a lot of conversation always around the time of presidential elections every 7 years, you know, that, well, what is the president constitutionally entitled to do? Under the Constitution, very many of the president's functions he executes on the advice of government. So, as you said, the appointments, I mean, the Dáil Éireann recommends the appointment of the government, and the government then recommends the appointment of many individuals too, and the pardons, offering pardons to individuals as well, also done on the advice of government. The areas where he has discretion are in areas like legislation. You know, the president considers the constitutionality of laws that are passed in the House of the Oireachtas, in Dáil Éireann and Seanad Éireann. He's the final check to make sure that this law is in line with our constitution. And the president, if he has doubts about it, then he can call a meeting of the Council of State, and he can also refer the legislation to the Supreme Court for the judges to make a determination in relation to this as well. So there are a few other discretionary powers that the president has, like refusing to dissolve the Dáil, as well, in circumstances where the Taoiseach has lost the confidence of a majority of Dáil Éireann, but they are very limited. And for some of your listeners who are interested in it, it's a very accessible read, our Constitution. Have a look online at Articles 12, 13 and 14 of the Constitution, and it will give you a good sense of what it is that the President can and can't do.
We had a relatively low turnout. I don't know actually what the expected turnout is 7 years ago. I think it's the more people that vote on anything, for me, the better.
Indeed, and actually, I looked at the turnout figures for the last presidential elections, the last four, and since 1990, and the turnout figures have varied from 66% to 44%, which is a huge swing in turnout numbers. You know, this is why we're encouraging people to register to vote. Young people, 60,000 young people turned 18 since the general election. This is their first opportunity to vote. So the more people who vote, the more representative the president can be, the greater the mandate the president has. And like we always say here at An Comisiún Tauchán, your vote is your voice. You know, if you don't vote, you allow other people to speak for you. And you'd never let anyone do that in any other part of your life. So, I mean, imagine telling a young person that what music they had to listen to, what clothes they had to wear, what food they had to eat when they went to restaurants. No, I mean, so you shouldn't allow the same thing to happen in this most fundamental of rights, the ability to vote.
Okay, and is there a go-to place where people can get more information?
All of the information is on our website, electoralcommission.ie. And if you have any questions at all, you can drop us an email, give us a ring. We love to engage. We'll have the presidential election in 45 days' time. So there's plenty of opportunities to do some research on some of the candidates, who you'd like to vote as well. But if you have any questions at all, please get in touch.
Thanks so much for your time again. I do appreciate it. Listen, we'll touch base with you or your colleagues closer to the time, but no harm now giving people plenty of notice, forewarned and all of that type of stuff. Thank you for your time, Art.
Look forward to that. Thanks,
Take
Greg.
care. Goodbye. That's Art O'Leary there. 086 60 25,000 is the WhatsApp and text number. 086 60 25,000, or give us a call on 074 91 25,000. Right, so... Irish citizens that are ordinarily citizens are the only ones who can vote. For those who haven't voted before, make sure you get on. They are saying, because it's the head of state for the next 7 years. And first and foremost, check the register. And you never know when an election might happen anyway, by the way. So no harm in checking that register one way or another. If there's any other questions or things I missed on that, get in touch with us and I'll try and get some answers for you. A caller says, I'm glad you're in a city whereby you can get from A to B quicker than if you are in a town like Letterkenny. Another, while you're in the Donegal tent, shall be self-made people whom shall be courted for our taxpayers' money. Questionable, at least. I'm not sure what that's about. When you are in the Donegal tent there. Okay, maybe that's to do with the London thing. It was just regular people in the tent. There was no la-di-das. It was just mostly regular Donegal folk. Typical of Irish politics, everything is a 5 or 10 year plan. Either they are out of power or the electorate have forgotten about it by the time any project should be delivered. We're talking about the rail here. Remember, pre-election, we were told that the public park in the Martyrs Field in Drumbo was a shovel-ready project going on for 6 years, and the same gates and padlocks are on the field without a shovel inside. Good morning, Greg. What happened to all the money from dog licences, etc.? Why is it not being used for the SPCA purposes? Another, the ISPCA have adopted the same method that this government have used in dealing with the public, and that is to ignore public opinion, and they will get over it. But people are no longer willing to be treated in this way and are beginning to react. Back to the presidential election. From early signs, it looks like the presidential race is going to be another rigged election. Already the political establishment have closed ranks and limited who will be selected. There are many great potential candidates like Marie Steen have little chance of being selected, never mind elected. As usual, the establishment and their media lackeys will decide the outcome. That's true Irish democracy in action. It's the Irish people, if the truth be told. The Irish people are powerful and strong, and they make the decisions. I certainly can't influence people. And they either are in favour of what the government's doing or they're against what the governments are doing, and they'll follow it one way or other. I would just have a lot of faith in the electorate, if I'm honest with you. And the more the more media, whether you think I do it or not, the more media try and influence or control it, I think the more pushback there is. Exactly, Greg. Garda should be on a unit or have a unit on standby for this thuggish behaviour like diffing and take them off the roads. We can't get to a point whereby there's an acceptance that people can do whatever they like on the roads without risk of running foul of An Garda Síochána, and that's not necessarily decisions made locally. It's giving them more resources. Get the cars back out into the streets. Why are local businesses having to close so the government can give foreigners a 60 or 70? That never happened. I'm not going to read that because I know the video you're referring to and the words were put into that man's mouth, so I'm not going to mention anything about it. He couldn't understand the question, and I know what you're on about. I'll dig a bit further into it and then read that message out, but that was framed a certain way. In relation to loud cars, a small village in Ballindrate outside Lifford, there's cars revving all day and all night, banging exhausts and racing through the small village, not giving a care in the world for the people living there. That's a tough way to live your life. A caller says, I think that tourism and community development has never been more important. This leads to a studied in transition year and young people can volunteer. We need more emphasis on volunteerism. Maybe this could be done through the work of the President's office. The older generation need to be addressed. For young people, volunteering is fantastic. It's great for anyone. It's great for your experience. It's great for interacting with other people. It's great for your CV. If you bring that into a job with you, that you've volunteered for your own local area, your own local community, it is a big tick. There's lots of advantages. Right, back with more after the break.
Watch the show live now on YouTube, Facebook and at highlandradio.com. The 9 till noon show is brought to you by Letterkenny Credit Union with monster loans available up to €60,000 for all occasions. Visit letterkennycu.ie.
Má tá tú idir chuig ní agus 7 bliain díos, joid tú cuireadh scág hástáil potóige báilí an HSE siar an aisce íonna. Cabhraíonn an scág hástáil le cóirí luadáil se potóige aimsiú, solamíonn aon symptom le feiceáil agus bíonn sin níos fosa í a chóiráil chomhar.
The Donegal Suffolk Sheep Breeders Show and Sale of over 60 SIS-approved ram lambs will take place this Friday, the 12th of September in Reformart. The show is at 6 with the sale at 7. Online bidding available via martbids.ie. That's this Friday at Reformart.
Our best value bundle has just landed in the Virgin Media Playhouse. Watch your must-see live TV, live sports, catch-up TV, and access all the apps you love to binge. Powered by our super-fast, reliable broadband. Bundled together for just €50 a month. Price locked for 12 months. Guaranteed. For more great offers, see virginmedia.ie. Virgin Media. It's playtime.
Subject to location and availability. New customers only. 500 meg broadband and streaming TV, €50 a month for 12 months, €104 thereafter. Separate subscription required for streaming apps. T's and C's apply.
PDO thread lifts and skin boosters, which rejuvenate the skin by improving facial contours, lifting and tightening the jowls, neck, cheeks and eyebrows, are available at Genesis Aesthetics and Skincare Clinic, Gweedore. To choose the right aesthetic treatment for you, contact Mary Ferry, your aesthetic practitioner. Also offering fat-dissolving treatments, dermal fillers and laser treatments for all skin conditions. Hair and makeup packages also available. Genesis Aesthetics and Skincare Clinic, Gweedore. 07495 325 75.
Tá aistrú na hÉireann go tobachaí ina bhfuil fuinneamh níos glynne ag tarlú díreach faoi do chosa. Le líon gáis atá ag iompar níos mó gáis ina nuaite a chabhróidh le do chomhlacht airí níos inmhúnathe ar bhealach a oibrion ditse. Líonraí gáis na hÉireann ag iompar inneamh na hÉireann.
Náidé mail nuair a oinn tú do chuireadh an scág hástáil potóige íonna. Glíorín ar a 8 a náid a cara cuaig a cara cuaig a cuaig a cuaig. nó túr cuairt ar bowelscreen.ie, ón HSE.
I'm joined on the programme now by Professor Rose Ann Kenny, who's Principal Investigator of Tilda. Good morning to you, Roseanne. Thanks for your time.
Good morning.
Right,
Good morning.
A very important report has been published. It's Wave 6. It's a Wave 6 report. But before we get into that, just can you tell me the role of Tilda briefly, if you don't mind, Roseanne?
Of course, I'll describe what Tilda is. Tilda stands for the Irish Longitudinal Study on Ageing. We went into the field collecting data for Tilda in 2009. We randomly selected 8,500 people aged 50 and over across Ireland, and we have a number of participants in Donegal taking part in the study. And the same people are assessed every 2 years and have now been so since 2009. And we collect subjective data. That means we ask people, for example, do you have high blood pressure? Do you have cholesterol? What drugs are you on? And then we bring them to the Health Assessment Centre in Trinity, where we measure blood pressure, measure cholesterol, measure diabetes bloods, so that we know what people think is going on and what is really happening.
And I mean, it's very useful actually for those taking part to highlight some medical conditions they may well have, because what's been shown here is that there are an awful lot of people walking around in this growing age demographic with undiagnosed medical conditions, the likes of high cholesterol, undiagnosed high blood pressure, stroke, hypertension.
Absolutely. So first of all, to say that half of those who had high blood pressure actually weren't aware that they had high blood pressure, and almost 40% had high blood pressure. That's the first thing. But they had high blood pressure when we measured it, so it is the case. And secondly, even those who were aware they had high blood pressure weren't actually achieving the target, the goal blood pressure that treatment should be addressing, which is 120 over 80. That should be your target, unless contraindicated. So big gaps there in the treatment of something, high blood pressure, which is the commonest cause of stroke and indeed dementia and heart failure and kidney disease in Ireland.
Yeah, and other conditions, diabetes, osteoporosis, chronic pain, all in many people going undiagnosed. And I was interested too in not just the physical health, but the what came up in terms of one's mental health and the level of depression or depressive symptoms that was quite high, higher than I would have hoped.
Higher than one would have hoped. So from the objective measures, when we used validated ways of making a diagnosis, if you like, of depression, we found 12% prevalence, but only 4% of people were admitted to or acknowledged. Sorry, the other way around. We found 12%, but only 4% were recognised and knew that they had depression. And of those who had depression, a majority had never discussed it with a healthcare professional, including general practitioners. So, depression's treatable. Depression can result in lack of mobility, terrible quality of life, of course, and have an impact on the individual, but those around. And it is important to address.
And of course, one of those contributing factors over time could be loneliness. And loneliness, both urban and rural, is a persistent issue for older people. Did you notice it worsening through the waves as people got older? Is there a trend there, Roseanne?
So very good. So as people get older, there is a trend. But the good news is during COVID, loneliness doubled because we did a COVID wave of data collection. And thankfully, loneliness has gone down, back down to the levels it was before the pandemic. So that's good news. Nonetheless, loneliness is not uncommon. And we know loneliness is really bad for, and we've shown from the study, physical health and obviously mental health is associated with depression. Married couples are less likely to experience loneliness than people who are living on their own, or parents living with children are less likely to experience loneliness. Community engagement and volunteering and good social networks obviously protect against loneliness. So again, I see a positive thing here in that the levels since COVID have gone down, and though it's prevalent, we can do something about it in terms of community engagement and encouraging communities to address this issue.
There's so much going on in Donegal in terms of, fantastic organisations providing brilliant services for older people. It could be sporting, it could be music, it could be just get-togethers. And we spend an awful lot of time trying to connect these people with those services because they are well spread even around a rural county. So anyone listening who does feel lonely, or maybe you've lost a partner or an older child's moved away or whatever it might be, there are amazing organisations and groups and individuals that can give you a space or a place or somewhere to go, because we all got an insight into loneliness. So not all of us, many of us got an insight into loneliness during the COVID-19 pandemic. We've seen how it affected young people.
That's a very good point.
Yeah, how it affected young people because they couldn't socialise how they might be expected to. People in their late teens, early 20s because of college. We all got a sense of that. So we should have an understanding when we talk about loneliness of what we're talking about, I think.
Absolutely agree. And now, bearing in mind that if somebody is experiencing loneliness, it is quite hard to reach out. So, but people, we're aware of that, and organisations or communities will. You'd be surprised how warm and embracing people can be, and how we all recognise it's difficult to reach out. So. I think Donegal is probably one of the counties that's particularly good in terms of creativity as well. All of those things, creativity, engaging in creative arts, we've shown from other waves of the study, make a big difference to loneliness and quality relationships.
I think it's really quite interesting that the main headlines from this are often issues that are raised with us, or there's a particular focus on. Because it means we're hitting the right marks, and it means that your study is as well, if that makes sense. Caregiving, people who are caring for a loved one. I mean, I speak to, men and ladies who are in their early 70s with a partner of the same age, and they're a full-time carer for them, or the oldest daughter in a family who's themselves 60 or 63 finds themselves then almost the permanent carer for one or both parents or another sibling. There's a great deal of love and compassion and happiness in being able to do that, but that comes also with a great deal of burden in terms of their own time, respite, financial burden, the burden it takes on their health.
Absolutely. The research lead on this, Christina McGarrigle, has done some lovely work, and it would appear that after anyone giving over a period of time more than 50 hours of caring per week significantly experiences physical and emotional health problems themselves. So I think the response to that is, how can NGOs or the state step in once people are at a threshold of about 40, because you don't want to go to 50 where the consequences have set in, and actually assist people. One of our caring NGOs with whom we coupled for the report suggested that respite care should be made available to people. It's very hard to get respite care. In other words, where someone you're caring for can actually go somewhere for a week or two to free up the carer to refresh themselves. Otherwise, they will become ill.
I was on a plane yesterday, and the flight attendants said, you have to put your seatbelt belt on yourself first before you can do it for someone else, and you have to look after yourself when caring to make sure that you're healthy, but also you can do your best job. And there's not one size fits all for us aging either. And I don't know how nuanced the services is. We have a situation here, Professor, whereby, we have a significant aging population, perhaps above and beyond the national average here in Donegal. And we really need to be investing in facilities and health to accommodate that. And there is this sense that we're not doing it. We know what's coming. We know where we're going to be at in terms of demographics in years to come. And we should be building resources and services and a health service that takes into consideration that. And I just wish we were doing more of that as a state, not least here in our own part of the island, Professor.
Yeah, so I think there's a two-pronged approach to that. I absolutely agree. But I'm hoping that the report will empower individuals to say, okay, this is what I need to do. These are the thresholds I need to meet in terms of those measures. For example, everybody over 45 and upwards, should have blood pressure, cholesterol, diabetes status, and their medications reviewed at least once a year. Every 3 to 5 years, have a DEXA scan to exclude osteopenia, osteoporosis. And if you are experiencing mood problems, then go to the general practitioner. Now, so that's empowering the individual. Of course, there are big pressures on our family practitioners, 4,500 in the country, aging demographic. Frankly, the system is having catch-up problems. So my own view is we have to think outside the box. That screening is not complex. Measuring blood pressure, taking blood samples, none of that is complex. And maybe we can use pharmacies more to do that sort of thing. And no better person than a pharmacist actually to review medications. That's what they're particularly trained to do. So we may need to think outside the box about systems, but at the moment, at least if individuals are aware of what they can do for themselves, and have a responsibility to do for themselves.
Professor Rose Ann Kenny, sorry for taking up so much of your time. It's just an issue I believe to be very important. But thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Take care.
Thank you.
Bye-bye, Professor. Okay, we'll be back with more after the break.
The 9 till noon show is brought to you by Letterkenny Credit Union, offering low-rate car loans with fast approval. Apply online at letterkennycu.ie or in office today.
At Restex Beds, we are celebrating 50 incredible years in business. And we are introducing our brand new Glenveigh mattress, comfort that's as legendary as our half-century legacy. Experience 50 years of bedding excellence at Restex Beds, Mountaintop Letterkenny. Restex Beds, leave the rest to us.
The Rent-A-Room Relief Scheme is currently available, and you could earn up to €14,000 a year tax-free by renting rooms in your home to students. This scheme is open to everyone, and it won't affect your payments if you're in receipt of social welfare support. Find out more at gov.ie/Room for a Student, an initiative of the Government of Ireland.
EirGrid, operator of Ireland's electricity grid, is powering up Donegal. We're planning to upgrade the electricity grid in your area, and your input and local knowledge are vital in shaping these plans. Our consultation opens on the 16th of September. Have your say, online or in person, so together we can create a more reliable, sustainable electricity supply for your community. Find out more at airgrid.ie/northwest.
All across Ireland, music fills cafes, salons, offices, gyms and restaurants. It creates a vibe, makes people smile. It might even turn a 4-star review into a 5. Music can lift moods, boost sales and improve staff morale. Whether your business plays background radio or a curated playlist, you need a music licence. It ensures music creators are fairly paid for their work. Buy your licence today at imro.ie/pay now. Because music drives business.
Highland Radio weather updates brought to you by McElhenny's. With new season styles arriving daily, discover the latest fashion, footwear and accessories for autumn in store or shop online at mcelhennys.com today.
So just to remind you, mostly cloudy today with scattered outbreaks of mostly light rain and drizzle, and that rain and drizzle will gradually clear later in the afternoon and evening with some scattered showers to follow. Perhaps a few limited bright or sunny spells, and it's going to be a week like that. But just to give you a quick heads up that on Sunday we could see a downward turn in the weather. There's some talk of a spell of wet and windy weather likely to extend up to us in the northwest from the southwest through Sunday. But as I say, we'll keep an eye on that. I'm not saying it's going to be anything catastrophic, but no harm just in case you've anything planned. Now, Dr. Brian Hunt is Director of Policy with the Law Society of Ireland, and he's with me now. Good morning to you. Brian, thank you so much for your time.
Good morning, Greg.
Right, now, you have pulled together, as a collective, the pre-budget submission. And there's a general sense, is there, that the Irish justice system is under pressure, overstretched, underfunded, and I take it to resolve all that, it's not going to take one budget. You're looking for something greater.
Yeah, we're looking for an increased level of investment, Greg, over the next number of years. I think the justice system rarely gets the level of priority that it deserves when it comes to budget time. And maybe just to put spending on the justice system in context, the annual budget for the courts and the judiciary would only keep the health service funded for less than a week. So in the context of the government's spending, the amount that is actually spent on the justice system from year to year is incredibly low. So making a real impact is not going to cost a vast amount of money. And what we are proposing is that changes would be made on a phased basis. We want to see an increased level of investment across a range of areas.
What's the situation in having, you know, the people there in the future to practice law? What's the age demographic like? Is there anything that needs to be done? And I suppose maybe even in a particularly a rural context to ensure we have the legal brains there to keep, because it's an incredibly important cog, isn't it?
It is, absolutely. So, Greg, I guess the term that we use for what you're putting your finger on there is legal deserts. We see the risk of legal deserts emerging. And what we mean when we speak of legal deserts is we can foresee that in time to come, in the next 10 to 15 years and beyond, we can see towns and villages that may find themselves without a practicing solicitor. And I think for many towns and villages, the solicitor is a key member of the community and provides a vital service and facilitates people within the area having access to justice and being able to freely access the advice that they need should they end up in a dispute or should they need the services of a solicitor. So this is something that concerns us, and one of the initiatives that the Law Society has been putting our weight behind is the small practice traineeship grants. And right now, there are 3 solicitor firms in Donegal who are availing of the small practice traineeship grants. And what that means is that the Law Society is funding the training contracts and the costs associated with training a solicitor. And if we weren't providing that level of support, the economic burden of paying for a trainee and paying for their education, it wouldn't be viable for some firms. And that's something that's a concern to us. We can do only so much of the heavy lifting. And what we're calling for is for government to, to take the small practice traineeship grant as an example of a successful initiative. And we need to see that being rolled out on a much wider basis. And we need the funding to make that happen.
I know there are concerns about the court's infrastructure, seeking more investment and legal aid and family law services as well. But I'm looking down at concerns over mediation, and I wonder if we did more in terms of mediation, would that free up more court time for other cases that can't be resolved during mediation? Are they as intertwined as me outside looking in would consider?
I think, Greg, yes, you're absolutely right. The courts are clogged up. They're doing their best in the circumstances that they face, but there are delays in pretty much all of the courts in Ireland, and this is particularly problematic at district court level. So we do want to see other avenues being opened up for the resolution of disputes. As you know, and people in Donegal will be familiar with the idea that when a dispute arises, people can be quick to get the matter into the courts, and people don't tend to threaten, I'll take you to mediation. It's very much court focused. But for many disputes, the courts are actually not the right place to have the matter resolved. Disputes, they can be resolved much more quickly, much more efficiently, in mediation, through arbitration and so on, and other forms of alternative dispute resolution.
And if that became cultural too, it would be... you would hope it would become one of the first options. Let's go to mediation, but culturally, it's not what we do, is it?
But I think you're right, Greg. It's a mindset change, and that's something that can't happen overnight. Achieving that will take time. But legislation was passed in 2017 to establish a mediation council, and one of the primary roles of the mediation council would be to promote a greater use of alternatives to going to court. And so we're calling on government to establish that mediation council. The legislation is there; it needs to be funded, and once it can get its work underway, we would like to think in 5-10 years' time, it's a longer game, that we would see more disputes being resolved through mediation and arbitration.
And I was surprised through the course of this show to see solicitors advocating strongly for this, because again, from the outside looking in, it would have been a bit like turkeys voting for Christmas, less work and that type of stuff. But it's actually, a lot of solicitors, they're saying, listen, this isn't for court here. You should be fit to resolve it, because it's going to be complicated, it's going to be expensive, and things are going to get more bitter, and you know what I mean. So I think mediation would be definitely a favourite option in many cases where it's appropriate.
Yeah, Greg, litigation by its nature, it's a prolonged, drawn-out process. It's often very stressful. Most people don't want to be part of a process like that. And under mediation, a dispute can be settled very, very quickly and at a fraction of the cost.
Yeah, and in terms of actually the impact on those taking cases or cases being taken against them, we drag it out too long here, don't we? When we look at European averages, we could be doing things better, presumably better infrastructure, space, time, etc., to get cases that have to go through the courts as quickly as possible.
Yeah, absolutely. Look, Greg, as Ireland's economy, it's thriving. It's doing very, very well, and as a result, you see the throughput in the courts has been rising in parallel with that effectively. And what we haven't been doing is making the kind of investments that we needed to make as a nation, making the kind of investments that we needed to make in our court system. So the number of judges, the ratio of judges to population and so on, when you look at all those statistics, we have fallen behind. We didn't even keep a pace, never mind moving ahead, but we haven't kept a pace. And as a result, the delays within our court system are endemic.
Yeah, and it shouldn't be that way, because we're a small country. We are a small country. We should be able to get the certain things right. Brian, listen, I wish I had more time, but thank you very much for giving us an overview there, and look after yourself.
Great to talk to you, Greg.
Bye-bye.
Thank
You too. Bye-bye. That's Brian Hunt, Director of Policy with the Law Society of Ireland. 086 60 25,000, the WhatsApp and text number, if you have anything to say in relation to that. Just a quick word on the roads. Now, there's been a road traffic collision which has forced the closure of the N14 between Ballyholey and Ballinlack junctions. We've no further details other than that. But if you are travelling the N14 on that route, be conscious of diversions. And with the nature of these instances, the diversions have to go in place really quite quickly. And I'm not quite sure how capable they are to accommodate all the traffic of different sizes. So maybe if you can, for the time being, and we'll let you know when that road reopens, take alternative routes. But there are diversions in place there. And as I say, we'll bring you any details of that incident just when it's appropriate to do so. Let me see. Is it true you only have to be living in this country for 3 years to become a citizen? No, there are 3 main ways you can apply for Irish citizenship by naturalisation. You have to legally have lived in Ireland for 5 years, so not 3. You are married to or in a civil partnership with an Irish citizen, or you are applying on behalf of a minor. So if you lived in Ireland as a refugee, you can also become an Irish citizen after 3 years. We have a system in place to help, or they have a system in place to help people through the citizenship process. So you're right, I suppose the 3 years does apply to people with refugee status in this country for 3 years. So to answer your question, actually, it's yes. And I was too quick perhaps to say no. Rightio, let us bid you adieu. That's where we have to leave it on the show today. Thank you to Donna Marie Doherty, who researched and produced the show, ably assisted by Shannon Wilkin. We're back with you to do it again tomorrow morning from 9 o'clock, so please rejoin.